This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Williams, beautiful cut and finish. Jalen Williams with the flush. He's got 8 early points.
McConnell off the top and screen. He scored on the last 2 positions. Make it 3 in a row as he spun into the lane and spun it home with a right hand.
The disrespect out here is ridiculous, and McConnell is making him pay for it.
Nembhard unloads, misses a 3. Siakam with a weak side rebound out to Mathurin. Back to Siakam, and he buries a 3 from the left sideline. He has scored 12 points in the fourth quarter, and the Pacers are within 2.
Wiggins spots up, 3-pointers good. Wiggins with his 4th 3-pointer. SGA the drive, back out the door, right side, Jalen Williams a 3. It's gone. Jalen Williams knocks it down.
Haliburton to the left sideline, gave up the dribble, and he turned it over. This has been a colossal, epic meltdown here in the fourth quarter after they had played so well to cut it down to 2.
Neesmith hit all those big threes in game 1 of the conference finals at Madison Square Garden. He can get hot. Williams has been hot all night, falling away. Got it! 40 points for Jalen Williams. A playoff gem from Jalen Williams. Tyrese Haliburton, the Pacers, a strong comeback, but the Thunder had the answer. It's 3 games to 2. OKC in front here in the NBA Finals.
It's the finals, man. I've worked my whole life to be here, and I want to be out there to compete. Help my teammates any way I can. I was not great tonight by any means, but it's not really a thought of mine to not play here.
He's not 100%. It's pretty clear. But I don't think he's going to miss the next game. And, we were concerned at halftime, and he insisted on playing.
Our backs are against the wall. You got to look at Game 6 like it's a Game 7. Losing is, if you lose, your season's over. So, we got to go in and take care of business, just approach the game the right way, see if we can get better in film, and be ready to compete.
Now you got my back against the wall.
First time we've had to do this show in quite some time. Good Tuesday morning to you. Rick Carlisle will be Wednesday at 8 a.m. We announced that before the opening tip from last night. Late travel for the Pacers, of course. So Rick Carlisle will join us coming up tomorrow at 8 ahead of a Game 6 where the Pacers will play to keep their season alive, as Tyrese Haliburton laid out right there. Gentlemen, when I say we haven't done this show in a while, I mean it in 2 realms. One, Pacers have lost back-to-back games for the first time in 3 months. That is not a show that we have had to do. Secondly, James Boyd, it's the first iteration where there'll be several of these throughout the summer. I call this the you get your workout in walking to the car on this Tuesday morning. Did you feel that humidity walking outside today? I was sweating by the time I opened the front door.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of the rain.
I threw a long sleeve on, not really thinking. I was like, it'll be kind of cool in the morning. No.
Yeah, I have sweats on. I don't know why I have those on.
Yeah, but, honestly, that's probably some of the pressure that Pacers feel right now, being down 3-2. Some of that humidity, some of that heat.
I was going to say, is the weather stickier or is that the Thunder defense simply walking to the car? So, again, good Tuesday morning to you. Jeff, a little bit under the weather, so it'll be us 3. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton with you here. Plenty of audio to get to, plenty of storylines from last night. For those that might have gone to bed early and thrown in the towel, the Pacers did another Pacers comeback sort of deal there. They cut it to 2. With about 8 minutes to go, and then the Thunder went on the big run, and Mark Boyle, I should say, described it pretty well right there of another epic, colossal collapse there. After that, the Thunder pulled away late. Jalen Williams was incredible. Tyrese Haliburton was bad and injured. TJ McConnell was incredible and sitting on the bench. Your overall takeaway from last night, James?
It's very hard to beat a team when their best 2 players combine for 71 points in moments like that, especially the way they scored those points. I thought late, Jalen Williams was unstoppable. SGA late was unstoppable. And I expected the Pacers to go on a run to get back into the game, but the bottom line is whether Tyrese is bad, passive, or injured, you cannot win a game when he scores just 4 points. And we can look at even some of the assist issues. I believe he had 6 assists, 3 turnovers, not like him. But he was clearly laboring throughout that game, compromised to some degree because of the right leg. Now, you can debate whether he should have stayed in or not. Obviously, T.J. McConnell had a huge third quarter. I believe it was a playoff career high, 13 points in that third quarter. Brought him all the way back. Pascal Siakam went off in the fourth quarter. But again, to me, this is when you need your star to be a star and to step up. And Tyrese just was a non-factor last night. And it did the Pacers in overall. I thought that, you can probably write the script on how these games are going to go. They're going to go down by a lot, come back. But it is very hard to complete those comebacks, clearly, without Tyrese Haliburton there to kind of get you over the top.
I thought the emotional hangover from Friday night was real to start last night. It was a huge concern I had. You guys are probably sick and tired of it yesterday, but I thought the ending of Friday night was an absolute kick in the you-know-what, and I was afraid you would feel that last night, and I think you felt it early in that game. It was a turnover machine once again. That set the tone. You kind of said it right there, James. You have to climb Everest once you get down like they do. And they've been able to climb it seemingly every time.
It was incredible last night to get it within 2.
But this is just a different opponent. Like they don't allow you as easy of an access like some of these other opponents have throughout the postseason. You did cut it to 2 there, and then the Thunder answered emphatically. And I thought for the first time really all series, maybe all playoffs, I'm sitting here scratching my head about not putting T.J. McConnell in earlier in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I jotted it down when McConnell had the travel early in the fourth.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, how will Rick handle the McConnell minutes? And I felt this way when Mathurin, has these flurries. How do you handle the hot bench dude in the third quarter? Because normally it's the great third quarter, maybe the start of the fourth quarter, and then the guy goes back and it's like, okay, now you need to get into your normal rotation and you put the starters back in, et cetera, et cetera. Now, Rick has rode the hot hand at different times. He's not been one that's just married to putting the starters back in. I thought he should have come back in. Really, you could have made the case for Haliburton. You probably could have made the case for Nembhard. Which
to not play?
Correct.
Yeah.
Like TJ come in for either of the two.
Yeah.
Which is saying something because Nembhard is the guy guarding SGA seemingly.
He was so bad, though, late.
The entire series. And he had, I thought, the back-breaking turnover. When you cut it to 2, they get a couple offensive rebounds. Jalen Williams, who was incredible last night, hits the 3.
Yep.
You come back down, Nembhard, awful pass in the backcourt. Was it maybe Cason Wallace, I think?
Yeah, Cason Wallace. But he threw it basically straight into the backcourt.
Yeah, just a terrible turnover.
He got an injured Ty trying to chase him down, and
timeout.
Yeah, that's a huge point swing there.
It's back to 7. So that's where I don't, and hearing Rick describe it post-game, we'll play the audio, I didn't really follow it either. I thought there was an opportunity there. I get that your starters helped kind of further the comeback and get it to 2, but it snowballed. It was an avalanche, like in 2 or 3 minutes. I thought once it got back to like 10 or 12 there, around 5 minutes, boom, get him back in the game. There were a lot of stoppages early in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Dagnall had a challenge. I think you took a timeout. I think they took a timeout. There were a lot. It was a slow starting fourth quarter. I thought that allowed TJ to get some rest in. They didn't go back
rest
to
in
him.
real time.
Correct. Actual minutes looking at a watch. And next thing you know, it's whatever. It got to hell, probably 15 until he went back in with 3 minutes to go.
They got it to 2, and you blinked, and it was double digits again. Like, what the hell just happened here? What happened?
Yeah, you honestly, if you fell asleep, I think that was probably the best thing. Because it was the ultimate tease, and then Mark Dykton, as quickly as that girl said hi to you at the bar, she was dancing with your best friend.
Yeah.
You turned your back to grab your drink, turned around. Where'd she go?
Yeah. Right. David Blaine stuff. I was like, wait, what? Where is she?
Yeah, I got a kick out of some of Mark's tweets last night. I was like, he's not lying with how this game is going. And, I mean, there's just a couple of different things because even – this is no disrespect to Tony Bradley, but the fact that he was getting so many minutes in the finals game, I was like, man, like this is rough because he really couldn't do anything out there. And I know you wanted him out there for size and rebounding, but like the very silly offensive foul when Obi Toppin was in transition, which would have been a dunk or a foul, and I was just like, why did you do that? You had no reason to do that. And then it felt like every time OKC got the ball on the perimeter and they got to switch on Tony Bradley, they're like, all right, this is free food. And I thought Jalen Williams really got going downhill by attacking Tony Bradley and got going and ends with 40 points. And he was phenomenal. He cooked everybody in his path, basically. But it was very reminiscent of game 1 to me, especially with the turnovers early.
Yeah, that set the tone. Like
Pascal had a number of early turnovers.
The
that
reason
were just
you lost the game
backbreakers.
was because of the turnovers. I don't we'll hit on McConnell in the fourth
I can
quarter and
agree
all
with
that.
Yeah.
But that set the tone. I mean, James, you had 22, 23. Man, that is an absurd number.
Yeah. You can't win like that against this team. And I get it. People are going to tell me, oh, well, game 1. Well,
Yeah, but these turnovers turned into points, unlike game 1.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when you play with fire, eventually, the cliche goes, you're going to get burned. And they did get burned last night. And I thought that there were certain moments where you were right there, or you could have stayed tethered a bit more, and you kind of let it snowball. And again, you exhaust so much energy trying to dig yourself back into the game that you don't have enough left at the end. Now, I do agree with you when it comes to, hey, maybe TJ should have been back in the game, because at some point, and perhaps this is a conversation you have to have going into game 6, I love you, Tyrese, but you are a liability. I can't play you if you were going to play like that. I mean, any guard would have been better than him, and I'm not kidding. Johnny Furphy made a shot last night. Tyrese didn't.
Yeah, Tony Bradley and Johnny Furphy made more field goals than Tyrese Haliburton.
That's what I'm saying. And I get it. People will tell me, oh, he was hurt, he was compromised. Even before the injury, though.
Yeah, I thought he was bad before the injury.
He was
occurred.
Passive.
Yeah.
And the injury kind of, right. That was, I believe, his 3rd single-digit scoring performance of these playoffs. So in my post-game takeaways, I did, include the fact, hey, I know that he was injured, but he's also been kind of prone to disappearing acts, and it looked like it was going to be another one of those. And so to not make a shot, to not be a factor offensively, and then to be kind of laboring, they have to have some serious conversations like, and he probably will, not probably, he will be out there for game 6. And they'll have time, he'll have plenty of time to rest, recover, and all those things. But seriously, if you come out in game 6 and the dude looks like that, I would seriously consider going to my bench. Because a non-injured TJ McConnell, even if he's gassed, is better than whatever you saw from Tyrese Haliburton last night.
You could make the case right now the Pacers' biggest issue offensively is a lack of getting in the paint. They don't have guards that penetrate into the paint. And who is the one guard that does it better than anybody else? It's McConnell.
Yeah.
I mean, McConnell drives you at will. That's the one thing he is. And sometimes he gets stuck in there, and you're like, wait, how the hell is he going to get out? But he's going to get in there.
And then when he's on, he's on. And he was on last night.
In Ty right now, it's all lateral. It's all east to west.
Yeah.
It's the running back that doesn't want to hit the hole. And that, to me, I think is a huge question that, again, it is, maybe it is largely health related. I would argue he's largely just been bad this series based off the high standard that he plays to. His turnover numbers are just outrageously high.
And he had some back-breaking ones, too,
for what
late.
we're used to. And so, again, a calf tightness, I guess, maybe the official phrase on that. We'll continue to keep you updated on that. He had some comments on his own health, and we'll play that upcoming. Good Tuesday morning to you. It was certainly a bit of a kick in the you-know-what, opening up the door this morning. Sticky, a little rainy. I don't think the radar has a lot on it, but it was a little rainy on the commute in here. Kevin Bowe and James Boyd, Mark Dykton with you. We'll cope. Pacers down 3-2. Game 6 coming up on Thursday. Listen to the Fan Morning Show right here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
For the first time in 3 months, the Pacers have lost back-to-back games. It was an ugly start last night in Oklahoma City. Valiant effort down the stretch. The Thunder had an emphatic run, though, to end the game. Rick Carlisle afterwards on the Game 5 loss.
Always asking about turnovers. We had 23 turnovers for 32 points. I mean, that's the game. So, we gotta do a heck of a lot better there.
James, I thought the emotional hangover was real. Another very poor start down there. Turnovers in that building. If there is a Game 7, that will be the storyline, because the Pacers now have played in Oklahoma City 3 times here in the postseason. They have 61 turnovers in those 3 games. Just to put that into a little bit of comparison, they average 13 a game. So the average would say 39 turnovers. They have 61 in 3 games.
Yeah, this Thunder defense is the best in the league, and we're seeing that right now. And obviously, it was even more heightened with the compromised Tyrese Haliburton out there trying to run the point guard position.
Haliburton 0 for 6, didn't score until the midway point of the third quarter. For those that watched the game, you saw him go back to the locker room. What was that, kind of like end of the first, early second maybe?
Yeah, because he tweaked it, I think, in the first quarter, and then they showed the replay later on, like the second quarter, but yes.
So big ol' wrap, lower right leg. Remember, it was deemed an ankle issue earlier in the series. This is same leg. They claim this one a little bit more calf-related. We'll play some audio here upcoming from Tyrese Haliburton on his status, and from Rick Carlisle as well on not going back to T.J. McConnell in the fourth quarter. The Pacers did cut it to 2 for those that did not stay up and watch it. A couple offensive rebounds for the Thunder. A Jalen Williams 3 of his 40 points last night, and then another back-breaking turnover from Andrew Nembhard. I thought Haliburton and Nembhard were equally as bad in the fourth quarter, which is saying something because Haliburton looked like me out there movement-wise.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't get guard play from your top guys, good guard play, it's very hard to sustain any form of a competent offense and to obviously continue to dig back into the game and to give points away against this team. That's very hard to overcome. And I know people are going to tell me, well, the Pacers have been resilient all year. But when you play with fire, when you always play from behind, there's a reason why, the Pacers won 50 games and all 50 wins were not from being down 20. It's hard to do that. So I thought that OKC really, pounced on them late, made some big shots. And they got contributions from some of their bench guys that just haven't had step
Wiggins
up.
Again.
Yes, Wiggins. Casey Wallace hadn't made a 3 throughout these finals. He makes his first 2 last night, hit another big one late. So, again, this is a team that showed that they have enough juice to get over the top. And credit to Jalen Williams. I mean, he's kind of forced himself into the finals MVP conversation after that 40-point game yesterday.
Yeah, there's no doubt the Thunder have had the 2 best players in the series, in SGA and Jalen Williams, and that is not an ideal recipe at all here for the Pacers. Again, Game 6 coming up tomorrow night, 8:30. If there is a Game 7, that is 8 o'clock on Sunday. Tonight, the Indiana Fever, before they head out west for their longest road trip of this early part of the season, they will face the Connecticut Sun. They are a massive favorite here in this one, 15.5 points last I saw. It's the only home game in about a 10-day stretch for them. This will be Caitlin Clark's second game back from injury. DeWanna Bonner still away from the team due to personal reasons. For what it's worth, the Sun did beat the Fever a few weeks ago. Granted, the Fever a little bit different with Caitlin Clark in the lineup. 7 o'clock tonight for the Fever.
So if Caitlin Clark doesn't make 6 threes in 6 seconds, is she regressing? is she not making enough progress or something like that?
I mean,
I know, right? Is she a bust?
She made 3s from Lebanon, Arcadia, and Lapel the other night.
Yeah, just incredible performance, and we'll see how she looks in her second game back, but I think it's safe to say she's fully healthy now.
Speaking of incredible performances, how about Gage Wood yesterday? Is there any more SEC baseball name than Gage Wood? Woo Pig Suey, a no-hitter in the College World Series, the first one since 1960. 19 strikeouts, 119 pitches. Guys, he was perfect through 7. He had a hit by pitch in the 8th. That was electric to watch yesterday. Great afternoon baseball there from the College World Series. Gage Wood, 119 pitches there. Tonight, we will get Game 6 of the Stanley Cup. Mark Dykton, does Edmonton have one more in them?
I hope so. I'm pulling for the Oilers. I would like to see the cup come back to Canada.
And we're back in Florida, right, for Game 6?
I believe so. Unfortunately.
Need to double check that.
Brendan King would know.
Yeah, the Panthers again up 3-2 in that one. And I thought the news item of the day yesterday, more so than Game 5 of the NBA Finals, July 4th has been saved.
Yes.
Did you see the news?
Mm-hmm.
I did not see this.
James Boyd, when you think of the greatest athlete of your lifetime, you say who?
Michael Jordan?
You said that with some uncertainty. I was hoping for more conviction behind it.
No, I mean, I was thinking of people I've actually seen play.
Okay, so
I was
Michael
thinking,
Jordan?
like LeBron James or Serena Williams or Simone Biles.
Sure.
I don't know.
Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps, Tiger Woods, et cetera, et cetera. Joseph Chestnut is back in the contest. Coney Island, welcome back, the GOAT. Announced yesterday he's back. No more vegan hot dogs. No more one-off with Kobayashi over Labor Day. This his post honestly brought a tear to my eye to hear Joey Chestnut describe what July 4th means to him. There's no greater athlete of our generation, if I could answer my own question there. Joseph Chestnut is back on July 4th.
Well, Nathan's is probably happy, too, because those ratings plummeted without him last year.
Yeah, I mean, how much, Bad Landis Booker, or I'm trying to think of who the other
Oh, he's the lemonade guy.
animals are.
The guy rules.
I mean, yes, I guess he's the greatest athlete of my lifetime. I did not realize this till this morning.
You didn't have me going there here on this Tuesday
Not at all.
morning.
I had no idea. I was just thinking, yes, July 4th is on a Friday, so it certainly has been saved for me.
All right, coming up on the other side, it will be a lot to recap from last night. Certainly plenty of storylines from Game 5. Why didn't Rick Carlisle go back to TJ McConnell late? What is the latest on Tyrese Haliburton's health? We'll hit it all. It is the Fan Morning Show here on a sticky Tuesday morning in Indy.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark has broken out the I just broke up with my boyfriend CD from every, 8th grade girl out there. That's what you'll hear probably all Tuesday morning. I'm sure we'll get Daniel Powder Bad Day in the 9
Cure
o'clock
coming up. Yeah. Taylor Swift.
Very reminiscent of the weather last night. Pacers down 3-2. First time in 3 months they have lost 2 in a row. A slew of turnovers last night. Once again, a valiant comeback, but couldn't get over the old hump, to quote Mike Woodson. There in the fourth quarter, cut it to 2, and then very quickly it snowballed from there. Kevin Bowe and James Boyd, Mark Dykton with you on this Tuesday morning. James, let's get into Tyrese Haliburton. 0 of 6, 3 turnovers. He once again continues to have a high turnover number against this Thunder team. They smell some blood in the water, I think, with Haliburton right now. And now we have a health question again with the Pacers star point guard. Last night, ESPN showed him go into the locker room. Definitely was favoring something late first quarter, early second. I think they deemed it a right calf soreness, tightness. Came back in and was beyond ineffective the rest of the way. Didn't have his first points until the midway point of the third quarter. Here was Haliburton post-game on his own play and his own health.
It's the finals, man. I've worked my whole life to be here, and I want to be out there to compete. Help my teammates any way I can. I was not great tonight by any means, but it's not really a thought of mine to not play here. If I can, walk, then I want to play. So, they understand that, and is what it is, and got to be ready to go for Game 6.
First row on the right, Jamal.
Thought is, if you lose, the season's over. So our backs.
Yeah. So Ty went on to say, hey, if you lose, the season's over. Got to treat Game 6 like Game 7. Those are all obvious stances. But to me, when it comes to Tyrese and the way he kind of answered that question about his lower leg, calf area. Yeah, I know you want to play, but this is where the team has to step in and say, if you're going to play like that, you're not going to play. And they've been the team that has been, I think, the sum of the parts more than the individual player. So selfishly, and I get that you want to play in the finals. That is everyone's dream. He's already had a big moment in the finals, the game winner in Game 1. But to me, if you're going to look like that, you're a liability. And you can find someone else to give you something more than that. TJ McConnell, yes, he was outstanding in that third quarter. I know he got gassed. But perhaps if you go into a Game 6 and you know that Tyrese is compromised, you can game plan better for those minutes and kind of figure out where we want to go and who we want to have in at certain points in the game. But to me, this isn't an end-all, be-all. Like, you're going to be out there no matter what. Yes, you've earned that right, but out of respect for the team, if I'm the coaching staff, I'm Rick Carlisle, I've earned the right to tell you no if you're going to look like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 70 or 80% against this defense, you're getting exposed ASAP. I mean, hell, he's been exposed at 95%,
That's
100%
what I'm saying. So
throughout the series. I hated the first possession of the game. I jotted down the first possession. I absolutely hated the first possession of the game. To re-rack some brains on the first possession, Pacers obviously get into a shot clock situation where the red light is coming on. I mean, it seems like every shot clock or every possession is like, oh boy, here we go, 7 on the shot clock. What are the Pacers going to do? Haliburton gets a semi-clean look, certainly against this defense. He gets a clean look. He passes that up for a more contested Turner. Look, and I thought to myself, we can't play the feelings game. This cannot be I need to get Miles going. No,
but I
man.
thought Miles passed up and opened one early, too.
Miles passed one up as well. But, to me, at times with Haliburton in that setting, this is not hey, boy, early in the game, let's see if I can get Miles one. No. You establish yourself. If you come out and you have 25 and 10, the Pacers are going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And when he passed that up, and then boom, there's Miles, and, of course, Miles passes that up. Next thing you know, it's Nesmith shooting 1 with 1 on the shot clock. It bricks, loose ball foul on Nesmith. And that, to me, just kind of set the tone. It was another offensive possession that had way too much east and west, not enough north and south, barely got in the paint. And what happens? The grenade goes to somebody that it shouldn't be in their hands. And that kind of summarizes where the Pacers are at. He clearly was laboring the rest of the game. If you go back and you watch his field goal attempts post-injury, I say injury in quotes, we just don't know the severity of it, but obviously went to the locker room. I think it was short, shot clock violation short. There is something that is impacting him. And again, no points until the midway point of the third quarter, 0 for 6 on the night. And when Johnny Furphy and Tony Bradley are having more field goals made than you've got major issues.
Yeah, that is about as plain as you can put it, Kevin. And I wish I could tell you differently and say, oh, well, I think you can look at this part of the game and glean a positive from it. But I don't think there was many positives at all when it comes to Tyrese Haliburton's performance yesterday. And we'll have to just see what he feels like the next couple of days. That is, I guess, a silver lining there. You don't play until Thursday, so you do have, a good amount of time to rest, recovery, and try to get yourself ready for what is clearly the biggest game of the season to try to extend your season. And then I also thought, on a different note, we haven't had like the Aaron Nesmith game. We had the Aaron Nesmith moment last night. That tip dunk was nasty.
That was very impressive.
That will get lost to time, especially if they lose the series. But his effort has never been in doubt for me. But, man, he has had some silly fouls. The first foul he got last night, like chasing down that loose ball.
That was the first possession of the game.
And I'm thinking to myself, why? Just why? Like and maybe that's just a gift and a curse where you aren't able to toe that line and he has to play all out and you have to accept. And I think most teams would. You would accept some of the boneheaded plays that come with that. But I'm like, man, you fouled out of the last two games. You know how valuable you are to this team, and you commit a foul like that 60 feet from the basket. Like, why would you do that?
I think what's really frustrating to me watching these 5 games unfold so far is, it was this great Thunder strength, their defense, their ability to force turnovers against the great Pacers strength. Beautiful offensive ball movement. The Pacers play with 2 point guards on the floor. It's the great, passing of basketball. What's going to give? And through 5 games, the Thunder have clearly, their strength has been established more than the Pacers' strength. And last night, you could have brought, I thought, McConnell in the fourth quarter for either Haliburton or Nembhard. They both were that poor. And, I thought to myself there, okay, I get that, SGA's primary defender has been Nembhard. It's not like it's really working tonight. I mean, do you just throw Nesmith on him for a possession or two? Because, again, TJ's greatest strength is getting in the paint, and that is what Tyrese and Andrew are both struggling with mightily. And that, to me, I know we played the Carlisle clip about 20 minutes ago. That set the tone, was the turnovers. And, as much as I want to stop bringing up Friday night, I can't get away from just how crushing that loss was. I thought it created an emotional hangover at the start of last night. And to me, that was your moment. That was your opportunity in the series. You had them on your home floor on a bad shooting night down. And if you close out that game, you have at least guaranteed a clinching opportunity on your home floor coming up Thursday. And as soon as that squandered, it felt like it was just the basketball god saying to you, hey, I let you have a chance. You've played so hard. You've come back all year. You've been unbelievable. Here's your opportunity. If you screw this up, don't say I didn't tell you so. And it felt like that last night. I know you made the run to 2, and it was a valiant effort, et cetera, but boom, the Thunder answered that. Honestly, that was maybe the greatest stretch they've had all series, was when you cut it to 2. Next thing you know, as Mark pointed out earlier in the show, you blinked, and it was like 15. Next thing I knew, Johnny Furphy was going in the game.
Yeah, they hit him with that championship caliber sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer. That's so true.
No, seriously. I was watching and thinking to myself, wow, you guys are out of your weight class when it comes to this team in those moments. And, again, I go back to what they got from their others and how they looked out there. I thought Aaron Wiggins took some wild shots. And I was like, oh, this guy is trying to get the Pacers back into the game. I don't know what he was thinking. I'm sure Mark Daigneault, who is very mild-mannered, probably said some choice words. I would have to him. I was like, what are you doing, man? You're trying to give this game away. But Cason Wallace, big moments, big shots. Alex Caruso, again, outstanding defense, made a few shots. Lou Dort, who Pacers fans hate because they say he tries to injure every player. Whatever. He's out there, and he is contributing. He's wrecking the game. And I thought that you just didn't get those contributions, even beyond Tyrese, from the Pacers bench. Benedict Mathurin, who I thought had a great chase down block early in that game, championship effort on that play. He drove a couple times last night to the basket with absolutely no plan other than I'm going to try to go get a foul. And I would say most of the time he's pretty good at that, but there were some times where I'm just like, why? Like, why did you do this? Why did you just have this tunnel vision? And those are the frustrating plays with Mathurin where he, didn't really have too good of a game overall. Like I said, Aaron Nesmith continues to foul at an absurd rate. Can never really trust him to stay on the floor too long because he's going to get, cheap fouls. And then, like you said, Nembhard, who's been cool, calm, collected.
And I thought he was good in the first half last night, honestly.
But
I thought
again,
he kind of kept you in it.
When have you seen him kind of wilt like that?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen him miss shots, and we saw that throughout the series. And to me, shot making can come and go.
He had some Mathurin-type turnovers.
But, yeah, he had some turnovers where I'm just like, this is not like you. And to compound that with an absentee Tyrese Haliburton, it is very hard to overcome that. So I give McConnell a lot of credit, though, because to me, they were dead before TJ kind of revived them. And then OKC was like, oh, no, you're going to stay dead after they came back and cut it to 2.
You guys think they have a chance in the series?
To me, it comes down to Tyrese Haliburton's calf or lower leg area. If he is compromised, let's say he's 70% against this team in Game 6, they're losing. Like, that's just my opinion.
Mark, before you chime in, my worry, James, is I don't like the 95% Haliburton I've seen in the series. I mean, outside of Game 3, I don't. We talked about coming in the series. In the Knicks series, Haliburton and Siakam ham and egged it. It was one guy, one game. It was the other guy in the other game. Yeah. I thought it was critical that one of them gave you a stretch of All-NBA. And right now, SGA's played at an MVP level, and Jalen Williams the last 3 games has played at an All-NBA first-team level. So that is my worry, too. I hear you out. But even if Haliburton's at 90%, I'm still not sold that he's going to give you
Well, here's my thing.
That.
It's a possibility. Like we saw it in Game 3.
Sure.
It is not a possibility if that dude's limping around like that.
Definitely.
That's my only thing.
No, definitely.
Like, at least you get, a little bit of hope from, okay, we've seen you do it on this stage. And that's the other thing, too, and why I got so annoyed with some of the commentary at halftime from who. And like
I can't believe you watched that.
I mean, I had it on the background, and I was just annoyed with, I get
I'd rather walk around the house, bring out the vacuum, I don't know, dust some pictures on the wall.
But I do want to say this, though, seriously.
That thing blows.
When we cover people, we cover their games, the biggest moment of their lives, I do think that you have to be careful with your criticism. You can say Tyrese was terrible last night. You can say he was garbage. You can say he was trash, whatever. All of that, to me, is within fair game, although I wouldn't call him garbage or trash. I would just say he played bad. But nevertheless, to say somebody is scared, that's a personal shot. Like, what are we saying from Tyrese to make you think that he's scared, though? Like, you can say, oh, he's not having a good series. These guys are up in his grill. He can't really, respond to his physicality. He might be compromised, might be injured. But to say this dude who has hit all these shots in the playoffs, mind you, these are in games where they're not tied. It isn't like if he misses, it's, we'll go to overtime. He's made shots when they're down. And say that dude is scared? I'm like, no, he's not scared. He's probably hurt or they're really affecting his game. So that to me is the part where I'm like, man, you guys give me some sort of analysis to, digest. But I'm on my soapbox here. I'll get off it. But it's just annoying, man. Because even on the flip side, you can't even tell me why OKC is succeeding. It's just, oh my gosh, man, Jalen Williams and SGA get buckets. Wow, did not know that. No clue. So.
They also just take advantage of every mistake you possibly make on the court. They are like sharks in the water. They're waiting for that drop of blood. Yeah. And the second you have a poor dribble or you just have a bad pass, they take advantage and they take it to the hoop and they make you pay every single time.
To this point that Mark just made, and I hear people complaining about this, dude, when you're the aggressor, I feel like you get away with so much more.
1,000%.
And it reminds me.
That's why Mathurin, I think, lives at the foul line as much as he does.
Yeah, because
and he's not making shots when he's at the foul line either.
Yeah,
he's clanking them a lot.
Yeah, he's kind of in his head. But it kind of reminds me of how the Pacers out-physicaled, if that's a word, the Cavs. Like, I didn't hear too much complaint about physicality when they were the ones beating up on the Cavs and knocking these guys around, and you got Nembhard and others, getting up in these guys' grill. So to me, this is like OKC saying, oh, you think you're tough? Oh, our guys, we're all built for it.
Mark, do you think they got a chance?
I do not think it's over. Again, I also think it rests on the health of Tyrese Haliburton and what percentage he's at. And if he's showing any kind of laboring issues, you need to pull the ripcord and get him out of there in Game 6, because if he's struggling like he was last night, you need to just throw T.J. McConnell in, and you got to figure out the guard position.
Can they win without him?
Yes, I think they can.
I do not.
They can't win 2 games without him.
They can't win, yeah.
I mean,
can they get one?
Yes.
Yes. Can they get 2?
You could have a miracle 18,000 lift you, and, you've been preaching, hey, when's a Neesmith game? Somebody, Matherin in Game 3.
Yeah.
You can have one of those, but you can't do it 2. I mean, that Game 7 down there, guys, they have looked awful down there. Outside of, how many minutes have they played? 48, in 145 minutes down there. They have had maybe 10, 15 minutes of winnable basketball on the road in an NBA Finals game. And that, I'm not even ready to even sniff a Game 7. They are a 5-point underdog, by the way, coming up Thursday night. Reminder, that is 8:30. Rick Carlisle tomorrow at 8. We tweeted that out before the game last night with him traveling back.
So he's not ducking us for those
numbers. No. Mark fired that off in the 7 o'clock hour last night before tip. So Rick Carlisle coming up 8 o'clock tomorrow. I was surprised when they flashed up the stat late in the game. I'm a little surprised that the winner of these 2-2 series in Game 5, they said they've won the series 74% of the time. I would have guessed that number would be higher. So basically, when you get these 2-2s, the winner of Game 5, 3 out of the 4 times they've gone on to win that series, I would have guessed that number would have been well north of 80.
So the number for Game 5 is lower than winners of Game 3, because the Game 3 winner was like 80%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is weird to me.
That's very weird.
And I guess I'm not ready to talk about Thursday. Sorry. I had a cop out with you guys. I had to ask you guys the question. My only ask would be just make them earn that stat.
Mm-hmm.
Make them. I've been very impressed by the Thunder's resolve, honestly. The end of Game 4, even last night, I thought last night was a moment where they could rest a little bit on their laurels, a young team. And they came out, and I thought they matched the Pacers early on. Rick has to take the time out of disgust early, and they punched emphatically on multiple occasions throughout that game. But yeah, that would be my only ask for Thursday. Just make them earn that stat. But I'm not holding my breath.
I was thinking about this last night while I was watching the game. Like, obviously, SGA and Jalen Williams probably in the MVP conversation for the series.
Oh, both. Yes.
If the Pacers were to pull this off, who's been the best Pacer in this series?
That is a good question.
Like, who would even you be casting a vote for?
Probably Siakam. I know Siakam had 6 turnovers last night. It's probably him.
I
don't say that
said
clearly.
Siakam, but I wasn't very confident in my answer.
I don't say that with a ton of conviction, but that's boy, Mark. You want to talk about a question that we probably have no business entertaining.
I know. It was just something as I was watching that 2-point, 2-point lead or 2-point disadvantage, all of a sudden expanded double digits again. I was like, who's even the best player in the series right now for the Pacers?
We'll play the Rick Carlisle audio upcoming here on why he did not go back to T.J. McConnell there down the stretch. For those that missed it last night, McConnell was just incredible in the third quarter. Lightning in a bottle times 10. And then he exited early fourth. Rick did not go back to him until about 3 minutes to go in the game. At that point, it was largely over. So we'll hear Rick Carlisle's explanation on that upcoming. Reminder, Jeremiah Johnson going to join us here coming up at 9 o'clock. Pacers have to react to back-to-back losses for just the first time since mid-March. Guys, I haven't lost 3 in a row with a healthy Haliburton since December. Granted, a healthy Haliburton seems to be a little bit of a question heading into tomorrow. And how about, how Oklahoma City, for our gambling addicts out there, how about how they've covered these last 2 games? Oh, my gosh. Last night, you're living and dying with Johnny Furphy and Benedict Mather and late to see if you can somehow cover. They win by 11, and it was a 9.5-point spread.
That's why I don't gamble.
Yeah, you're loving it if you're taking the Oklahoma City Thunder and the spread. But
I will say, if you took that, you were very bold. Because I'm like, man, like that was it didn't feel like an 11-point game.
We are nitpicking with this thought, and there's a reason probably why I'll say it here at 7:52 and not say it the rest of the show. Am I missing something on why Thomas Bryant has been benched? Like, is there something egregious that I've just missed?
No, it's because he can't defend anybody.
So Tony Bradley is doing a better job?
Don't ask me that. I mean, neither one can defend anybody.
That might be a question for 8 o'clock tomorrow, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think it's like super...
Then duck and run out of the room after you
I don't think it's like super important, you know? I mean, like, I don't want to overreact to... I don't think Thomas Bryant is all of a sudden going to be this, like, difference maker. But, like, when Bradley came in the game last night, I was kind of like, I didn't... I guess I just didn't see the urgency that high. Frankly, I'd probably rather see them play small ball.
Perhaps his rebounding. Oh, Thomas Bryant isn't the greatest rebounder, but nevertheless, both of their backup bigs, whenever OKC sees either one, hibachi. You're getting cooked.
And boy, OKC's others. I mean, again, at home. I mean, Wiggins did it in game, whatever that was, 1 or 2. Lou Dort. How about the Lou Dort banked in 3?
When he made that, I was like, oh, man.
I thought it was going to hit some fan in the rafters.
Because it was not a good shot. It was contested and everything like that, but I guess when you're living right, you know, sometimes you get a little break to go your way.
Jeremiah Johnson's going to join us at 9. Why didn't Rick Carlisle go back to TJ McConnell in the 4th? We'll hit on that. We'll take some calls as well. 317-239-1070. Jeff, a little under the weather. Don't blame him after last night. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton here on a Tuesday.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Williams, beautiful cut and finish. Jalen Williams with the flush. He's got 8 early points.
McConnell off the top and screen. He scored on the last 2 possessions. Make it 3 in a row as he spun into the lane and spun it home with a right hand.
The disrespect out here is ridiculous, and McConnell is making him pay for it.
Nembhard unloads, misses a 3. Siakam with a weak side rebound out to Mathurin. Back to Siakam, and he buries a 3 from the left sideline. He has scored 12 points in the fourth quarter, and the Pacers are within 2.
Wiggins spots up, 3-pointers good. Wiggins with his 4th 3-pointer. SGA the drive, back out the door, right side, Jalen Williams a 3. It's gone. Jalen Williams knocks it down.
Haliburton to the left sideline, gave up the dribble, and he turned it over. This has been a colossal, epic meltdown here in the fourth quarter after they had played so well to cut it down to 2.
Neesmith hit all those big threes in game 1 of the conference finals at Madison Square Garden. He can get hot. Williams has been hot all night, falling away. Got it! 40 points for Jalen Williams. A playoff gem from Jalen Williams. Tyrese Haliburton, the Pacers, a strong comeback, but the Thunder had the answer. It's 3 games to 2. OKC in front here in the NBA Finals.
It's the finals, man. I've worked my whole life to be here, and I want to be out there to compete. Help my teammates any way I can. I was not great tonight by any means, but it's not really a thought of mine to not play here.
He's not 100%. It's pretty clear. But I don't think he's going to miss the next game. And, we were concerned at halftime, and he insisted on playing.
Our backs are against the wall. You got to look at Game 6 like it's a Game 7. Losing is, if you lose, your season's over. So, we got to go in and take care of business. Just approach the game the right way. See if we get better in film, and be ready to compete.
Been a while since we've had to do this sort of show. The Pacers have now lost back-to-back games for the first time in 3 months, and they are on the brink of elimination, down 3-2 in this series to the Thunder. Thursday nights, they will try to extend it one final time. Coming up 8:30 inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. It's a sticky start to this Tuesday morning. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton with your reminder, Rick Carlisle tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Pacers head coach. Obviously, the team traveling back late last night. We announced that before tip-off last night that Rick will be joining us tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Look forward to that. James Boyd, if you had to summarize it in one, I think there's a lot of tentacles from this game. The Haliburton health situation, McConnell, turnovers, the huge Thunder run there in the fourth quarter to put it on ice. Where would you go?
Turnovers. I'll probably go there first because I felt like even before Tyrese kind of got hobbled throughout that game, they could not keep up with OKC's pressure, specifically on-ball pressure. I mean, every single dribble, pass was just getting deflected or stolen. And unlike in game 1 where they forced all these turnovers and didn't score, they were turnovers into points very early.
Boy, I just thought some of the turnovers were horrific. Like can't dribble turnovers.
Siakam had a couple early, and I was like, oh, man.
Like, are they using the same ball the Thunder are using? Like, it was one of those nights. Boy, just a full gamut of low-light turnovers, and, of course, living late
They
clock.
had a couple, backcourt violations where I'm like, this is like
Obi caught it, and then Obi goes in the backcourt.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like Little League, type of stuff.
Yeah, to put the turnover numbers into perspective, they have 92 so far.
Dang.
Through these 5 games. Now, the Bucks series went 5 games. The Cavs series went 5 games. So if you want to compare it to those 2 series, again, 92 here against the Thunder. The Bucks 5-game series, 55 turnovers. The Cavs, 73. So you've gone 55 against Milwaukee, 73 against Cleveland, 92 so far against OKC. Definitely one of the big storylines last night was TJ McConnell. He was incredible, really, in the third quarter. Mark, I thought you summed it up really well during the break when you said it just looked and felt so different when McConnell was on the floor for both parties. It just seemed like the Thunder were stunned by him. he's such a relentless driver of the basketball that I think it's vital that his presence is out there to kind of cure, or I should say help out, arguably what the Pacers' biggest issue here is this series, and that's the lack of getting into the paint.
It was the only time last night that the Thunder actually looked like they were playing on their heels. Like all of a sudden, like, whoa, where'd this come from? All of a sudden, he was driving to the paint, he was forcing them back, and all of a sudden it seemed like the offense just did a complete 180 and like, this is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Here it goes. And then all of a sudden,
and it wasn't like the McConnell, being a menace in the backcourt. It was more of him just as an attacker. 18 points in 22 minutes as a scorer.
It was the time the Pacers looked like the aggressor.
He said, you're going to get
night.
these buckets, and he was putting buckets on them.
He was. And so he checks out early fourth. He did have a travel early fourth quarter, and I think Rick might kind of indirectly address that play in this audio we're about to play. But basically, he exited early fourth. I thought to myself right then and there, how is Rick going to handle this? We have seen him ride the hot hand at different times with this bench unit, playing with the starters in a fourth quarter. But I was very curious how this would unfold because he has said it quite often. McConnell expends so much energy when he plays. He wants to be very mindful of the minutes. Rick waited and waited and waited. TJ did not go back in the game until about 3 minutes to go. And at that point, James Boyd, you said it very well earlier, the Thunder had hit you with a sledgehammer. Yeah. It was over at that point. Here was Rick Carlisle post-game and not going back to TJ McConnell there.
He was great in the third, put him in earlier than normal. He was very tired. That's why we got him out. And I think there was a play early in the fourth that where it looked like fatigue had set in there. And then, Ty was back in, and then that group went on a good run there. So, yeah, it's always a consideration. But I haven't gone through the entire game and completely analyzed the whole thing.
I thought McConnell could have come back in around, I'm going to say 6 minutes to go, like around that time. And again, just to kind of play this out, when he exits early fourth, you weirdly then had a bunch of like stoppages over the next probably 2-3 minutes of basketball time that turned into a lot of clock time, like human beings looking at a clock time. Dagnall had the challenge. I think both teams took a timeout, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And so TJ probably only sat for like 3 minutes of basketball time, but it turned out to be, upwards of 10-15 minutes of real time. Now, Rick is right. The starters did help you make that run. But, James, I thought as soon as it went from 2 to 12, which it went from 2 to 12 in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
I thought as soon as that happened, that was your chance to say, all right, Energizer Bunny, back in the game. The car's dead on the side of the highway. You bring the battery, and you see if you've got anything left in you. Because he had sat for a good amount of time at that point.
Right.
I thought the fatigue aspect, while I get where he's going with that early in the fourth, I didn't think that applied midway through the fourth. By the time you put him back in with 3:15 to go, it was over.
Yeah. I mean,
and I thought you could have put it back in for Haliburton or Nembhard. I thought both of them were equally as ineffective offensively.
Yeah, Nembhard, that was probably as bad of ball handling, decision making that I've seen from him probably all year. That was rough. And to your point, and I see somebody else in the YouTube chat pointed it out, one of the guys was saying, hey, I'm not one to say that one play decides a game, but boy, down 5, you throw it directly into the backcourt and you give Case and Wallace a free lane to the basket for a fast break dunk. And I know Andrew Nembhard had to be sick watching that because, to me, you just threw away potentially a championship, not on that singular play, but you threw away this game, with some of these costly turnovers and going down 3-2, first time you tread in a playoff series all year, man, it's rough. It's going to take almost perfection to come back and win in 7. So that's one of those ones you wish you had back. And I'm sure if Rick Carlisle could do it again, he'd probably get TJ in the game a lot sooner, but I will say going into Game 6, at least you'll be more prepared for how your rotations could possibly look if Tyrese is compromised. Whereas last night, you were kind of just doing things on the fly and kind of getting out of whack with some things because you're trying to work through Tyrese's thing. But, man, hindsight's 20/20, but to have T.J. McConnell go back in that game, it wasn't a slap in the face per se, but he had it feeling like, dang, when I was in here, things were different. Yeah. And I come back, it's over.
Right.
Like not I come back and we got a little bit of a deficit. It was OVA.
It was
over.
Yeah. It was like I can't impact the game again. Like I felt like McConnell deserved
he gave everything in that third quarter.
I thought he deserved the chance to test the Thunder one more time. Like he had earned that right, in my opinion. And that's kind of how the game had played out. Like, okay, the Thunder passed the first test of the right out of the gate. I mean, they're great in the first quarter. Pacers turned it over 7 times. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. The Pacers, thanks to McConnell, they, make that huge run in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, and boom, the Thunder answer. I thought to myself, okay, can you now counter with one more run and just get OKC to feel because you felt that in the arena. As bad as I think the ESPN broadcast has been, I thought Richard Jefferson pointed out on a couple different occasions, he's like, oh man, it's quiet in here. Like they could feel a little bit of are they going to game one us again? And I felt it was a missed opportunity to try and do that. I largely think the reason why the Pacers lost the game was turnovers.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't it the first thing Rick Carlisle kind of brought up post-game?
Yeah, I think it's a game 4 hangover. I mean, again, people
You think so?
Yes.
I've heard you say that a few times throughout today's show.
I think the series was lost in game 4.
That's probably a fair assessment.
I said that yesterday, and I know Jeff certainly didn't agree with me. I don't think you totally agreed with me either.
Nah.
I just thought it was City. I think we could look. I hate to be prisoner of the moment, and maybe the Pacers will tell me to shut up here in Game 6 and Game 7. But I think we could look back at the end of Game 4 and think that was one of the more squandered opportunities our city has ever seen from a sports standpoint.
Yeah, I definitely think that is certainly going to be something that haunts them forever if they lose this series. And being down 3-2 right now, it's not looking good for you. I'll push back a little bit, though, with the Game 5. Hey, it was a hangover from Game 4. I don't necessarily think it was that, Kim. I think it's just OKC getting back to who they are. They turn you over. They get up in your grill. They make things uncomfortable. So I don't know if that was the Pacers being hung over or more so just them kind of succumbing to one of the, if not the best, defensive team in the NBA. Like, is it a hangover if Alex Caruso is still that good of an on-ball defender every single night? I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, you could easily point to Game 1 and Game 2. The Pacers had issues in OKC as well.
So I'm saying, man, they can't live out there.
Emotional hangover might not be the right phrase, but I stand by the squandered opportunity of Game 4 being monumental. Like, I just thought
I think I might have
that was excruciating how that was ripped from you on your home floor, and you got pacered.
So, question. Had they lost in a different fashion, let's say they lose by, 10 or whatever, and it's pretty decided in the last few minutes where it's like, oh, man, OKC, they got this in the bag. Does that change the weight of that loss?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
I do think that. I think psychologically, I found myself thinking Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday, Monday. I mean, hell, I did it at 8:13 yesterday morning, James. I kept on thinking, what if?
Yeah.
And that, to me, is like...
Because it did feel like, oh, they're going to go up 3-1.
That's the dangerous aspect of it. And let's play out last night. Let's say last night unfolds the exact manner that it did.
Yeah.
You have a million turnovers. McConnell looks like a hero. They, hit you with a huge avalanche there to end the game. James, we're talking about the Pacers having an ability to win an NBA title on their home floor Thursday night.
Yeah.
That's what Friday night meant. Yeah. That's what Friday... And go back to the Shea quote after the game. Shea said it from the Thunder perspective. We know what the alternative was.
Death.
3-1. It's, again, we're spelling over OVA. It would have been...
Over.
Yes, absolutely over. Jeremiah Johnson joining us coming up at 9 o'clock. I want to take some calls, 317-239-1070. Mark, you said Adam? Yep. Adam. Good Tuesday morning to you, sir.
Hey, fellas, how we doing?
Well, you want me to be honest, or you want me to give you some fake energy?
No, you know what? I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm going to put this one on Carlisle. Like, I understand the Haliburton 0 points in the first half, but I respect Rick Carlisle because after Game 4, when the tone of the city and the people in the game were complaining about the referees, he took the high road. He made that not an excuse. But in the first quarter, when he took that technical foul, it was like everything you said in that press conference, where the extender, the referees, all that noise. Now you've got a technical foul, like you're starting to, that internal conversations you probably have with the team. Now you've set the precedence. During that time, throughout the whole entire game, you got your team worrying about calls instead of basketball. How many times am I watching them complain to the refs? No, go play basketball. Stop worrying about the calls. That's the ref's job, and go play basketball. And it's kind of I know the game is emotional, and you're gonna get upset about it, but you constantly for 4 quarters like complaining about every shot attempt, every drive to the lane. It seemed like the only person that didn't care was TJ, and that's why TJ is so successful when he drives the lane. He's the smallest guy on the court. He knows he's going to get hit, and the call's probably not going to be there. But I feel like Rick Carlisle, between that and then not substituting TJ back in when you subs it, like when we're down and we have those 2 horrific turnovers and you put in Obi Toppin, Miles Turner, and I forgot who else he put in, like Neesmith got subbed in, but he didn't put in TJ. And that, it just blew my mind. Like, I don't know if he's going to come out and take ownership of it to relieve the players from this, but I really do think that this is a mental game, and they lost it mentally where they were sitting there complaining about the fouls or the lack thereof. Go hoop. Go hoop.
Adam, call more often. Thank you for that.
Go hoop. Hashtag go hoop.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like a James Boyd tweet, honestly.
Put it on the Game 6 t-shirt.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So the tech, James, very early.
Yeah.
5 minutes into the game.
I thought it was a Rick Carlisle special.
Yeah, I thought
he's done it in the past.
But I think Adam's right. I think he was trying to do a little message. I think it was trying to think of the sequence. I want to say Nembhard, did Dort pull the chair out?
Yeah,
and he
got
lower
him from the lower body, though. It was a foul.
And then it came, and
He
I think
missed
SGA had a little bit of push off on the other end. Yeah, I guess to summarize my overall thoughts on Carlisle level of blame, again, turnovers cost you the game. That's where I want to start. I think that's the root of it. I think that's been the root of it all series long. We're going to look back on the series, and if the Pacers lose, in my opinion, it's going to be, to summarize it, blood in the water. That's what the Thunder were defensively, and their strength outstrength the Pacers. Having said that, I do think it was a major missed opportunity by Rick from a rotational standpoint and not turning back to TJ earlier in the fourth quarter. I thought when they cut it to 2, Thunder get a couple offensive rebounds, Jalen Williams hits a 3, and then you've brought this play up quite often, James, the horrific Nembhard pass in the backcourt. Cason Wallace takes it in. I don't know if it was a dunk or layup. It's 7. Rick takes a timeout. I thought when we came back from the break, I thought TJ was going to be back in the game. I thought when it got to 7, you cut it to 2, boom, they hit you. I thought one more rest for TJ McConnell. When they got it to 7, they would go back to him. The fact that you didn't see him again until the game was pretty much over, I do think that is a mistake. Do I think it cost you the game? Probably not, but I think it was a missed opportunity to try and force the Thunder to pass one more test.
Yeah.
And I think that's what is a little that for the first time all series, I felt that with Rick substitution wise. I thought that was a missed opportunity because you had, not only did you have TJ earning the minutes, I thought you had Tyrese and Andrew unearning the minutes. When the double whammy is sitting there, that's a really, really hard area for me to say I'm sticking with the guys that have got us here.
And I'm trying to think of the last time I saw both play that poorly from a decision-making standpoint.
That's a great point.
And I don't know if I can think of a time this season, and if there is one, it was way back when, because to your point, which you pointed out early in the show, having lost back-to-back games in 3 months, and certainly you haven't looked like that in quite some time throughout these playoffs when it comes to rebounding in certain performances. So I'm very curious to see how they kind of approach this thing with Tyrese over the next few days, how much of his injury, how much of his mindset, and can he and this team conjure up something else to keep their season alive when you're going back home and you got a home court advantage for this game, not for the rest of the series. I mean, how do you make sure to, I guess, pounce on OKC and make sure that OKC doesn't, come away with their first championship on your home floor? So a lot of questions going into this one and a couple of days at least to kind of figure it out. So we'll see.
Not sure if this is very uplifting or enough probably of the uplifting, but let's give away a 4-pack of tickets. 4-pack, correct, Mark?
Correct, yep.
Saturday, Indy 11 against Vegas. Boy, it feels like we all should go to Vegas after having to endure what we've had to Pacer-wise the last couple of games.
What kind of luck do you think I have?
You don't have to ask me twice.
I'm going to go there and still be broker than when I left.
317-239-1070, 4-pack of tickets, Indy 11, Las Vegas, coming up Saturday night over there at Carroll Stadium. So Fast Fingers will give that away right here. Mark Dykton, let's check it now.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
James, 120-109, the final score last night. The Thunder actually covered. We probably haven't said enough about Jalen Williams. I thought he was really shaky the first couple games this season. He has been an all-NBA first-teamer since. He had 40 last night for the Thunder. Him and SGA doing that. Wiggins and Dort throwing in enough threes, including Dort almost shattering the glass. That is a hard recipe to overcome.
Absolutely. And have you seen that same foot, same scoop layup from Jalen Williams? It is a very tough move.
He's
and it
so
seems
good
like
with the left.
That's what I'm saying. And it seems like he never misses that shot. So if you're watching some tape there, Pacers, just hack him next time.
Game 5, obviously last night. Game 6, Thursday. That is 8:30 here inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. This might be the smallest spread of the series. Just 5 points right now. How it's opened. We'll see about Tyrese Haliburton's health and the injury report upcoming. Pacers, nothing today. They'll practice tomorrow. Again, Rick Carlisle will join us tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse coming up tonight. You saw them pan to the in-arena camera last night of the watch party, the Fever floor down there, because it'll be Fever and Sun tonight. James Boyd, the Indiana Fever, favored by 15.5 over a Connecticut Sun team that is certainly not the Sun team that we saw last year, thanks to the Fever, really.
Yeah, I mean, their coach came over from them, and one of their players, DeWanna Bonner, who was away from the team with personal reasons. But I will say, Caitlin Clark back in action, and boy, she must see TV. So excited to see her tonight. I believe I will pull up to Gainbridge tonight to see her play and the rest of the Fever.
A 3-game road trip out west upcoming for the Fever, so this is their only home game in about a 10-day stretch. We'll get Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final coming up tonight. It is the Edmonton Oilers needing to try and win on the road to keep their season alive. The Panthers are up 3-2. And what a performance yesterday on the Diamond. Maybe I'm missing some baseball stuff I should be talking about. Mark, I apologize. Did the Cubs win?
They were off yesterday.
Okay. My baseball updates today will be Gage Wood, the Arkansas pitcher. No-hitter yesterday in Omaha, 119 pitches, 19 strikeouts.
For the third ever no-hitter in the Men's College World Series.
First since 1960. Great call by Mike Monaco, the Notre Dame grad on ESPN. Enjoyed watching some highlights of that. Hit by pitch in the 8th. That was the perfect game out the window, but he closed the door big time there with Arkansas getting a no-no from Gage Wood Woo Pig Suey. My neighbor, about 5 houses down, I should say, has an Arkansas license plate, but I've never spoken with him.
Well, that was the perfect time.
You sound like a serial killer.
Well, he parks out on the street.
From.
I mean, how many Arkansas license plates do you see in Indianapolis?
That is true.
You got to see him today and just give him like a head nod. Or fist bump.
Let's go, Gage.
Yeah.
One of those.
See how Gage would and see what he's
he's going to hit you with
I
don't even watch sports.
If I went Woo Pig Suey, would he, you think it'd be a good embrace?
You'd feel like there's a reason why I haven't talked to that man before.
Yeah.
He'd be like, IMPD, I'll be on your doorstep here in the next 20. Jeremiah Johnson coming up in 30. Much more on Pacers Thunder Game 5. We've got some callers to get to if you'd like to join the combo. 317-239-1070. Jeff Rickard a little under the weather. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton on a Tuesday.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Jeremiah Johnson coming up at 9. Again, game 6, I should say. A 5-point underdog, early line coming up for Thursday night. Much more, obviously, recapping game 5. James, what I do want to sneak in a quick Colts item here. It was announced, I think, right after the show ended on Friday, and to me, a no-brainer. Jim Irsay will be going into the Colts Ring of Honor inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. That'll happen week 1 against the Dolphins. Part of me kind of thought maybe they would do that at some sort of like public, I don't know, summer viewing or summer. But I guess they'll do that week 1. They announced that on Friday. That would have been Jim Irsay's 65th or 66th birthday, I believe. One thing to note in there, not to make like too much of it, but I think it's just kind of a reminder of the direction the franchise is moving in. In that statement, James, the one quote was from Carly Ursay Gordon. I think it's just kind of a reminder that in probably past Ring of Honor announcements, the quote in there has been from Jim Irsay.
Yep.
So I think it's just further evidence that moving forward, if you kind of had to view the Irsay daughters and who we will be hearing the most from, not that we're going to hear a lot from any of them. I don't think they'll be necessarily as outspoken as their father. I do think that will be Carly Ursay Gordon, and that is the one that you see on the sidelines, the one you heard from the most in the presser last week, but just wanted to point that out.
Yes, by all means, Carly Ursay Gordon, if you feel like sharing your thoughts via Twitter, we are all following, and we would love to hear from you. She did say one thing she learned from her father is maybe not to tweet as much, but yes, I expect to hear her voice when it comes to any big decisions, and that's a no-brainer. We knew that was going to happen, and it'll be another opportunity for the fans especially to kind of honor the life and legacy of Jim Irsay.
You want to get a little nervous? 5 weeks from today, report day for training camp.
I don't know if I'm nervous. It's just don't rush it.
You like your summer vacation.
Yeah, I mean, I need this. Look, dude, I'm usually not working at this point of the year. So, yeah, I don't want to rush it at all, but let's go there real quick. What is there to be nervous about? And I mean this is a genuine question.
Well, nervous probably
is it
was
Anthony's
the right
shoulder? Which is that's a big question, I would say.
I probably didn't phrase that the right way. I meant it for like your own sanity, my own sanity.
My own sanity.
Just like, 5 weeks is going to go quick.
When you're charting every pass for 2 quarterbacks for
my goodness.
weeks
I can
on
hear
end.
myself right now. Hey, Kevin, was that an incomplete pass? You know, you're a little taller than me. Can you see through that crowd?
Does that make him 7 of 10 or 7 of 11?
Are we counting that as a sack or?
So true. We'll see how long the news cycle continues. We know the rest of this week we'll be talking a whole lot Pacers and Thunder. Or what will
there is some other basketball news. I'll go there.
Oh, what do you got?
Desmond Bane getting traded from.
Yeah, how about that?
I believe Memphis to Orlando.
I kind of like a Bane, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero 2-3-4.
Yes, it was a very hefty trade. I believe 4 first-round picks, KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Cole Anthony all going back to Memphis. But the reason why I bring that up is because Desmond Bane is an Indiana native. Played at Seton Catholic.
All right, shout out to the Richmond area and Seton Catholic. Another item to note, shout out to the great Anthony Calhoun. Incredible what he continues to do. We were out at his golf outing yesterday for Teachers Treasures. As the son of 2 teachers, it means the world to me what AC raises here locally. I love the quote of turning pencils into possibilities. Really, really fun outing yesterday.
I was driving the ball straight down.
I didn't see James Boyd teeing it up at all.
Oh, not at all. I got a lot of questions yesterday about my golf swing, and I was like, just swing me by a couple of different food stations they had out there, and I had a great time.
You had Shane Steichen out there. You had several Colts players: Tyler Warren, Zaire Franklin, Quentin Nelson, Riley Leonard. I'm sure I'm missing.
I got a kick out of this. Shane Steichen was telling me because apparently, and AC does a great job. He gives everyone these gifts if they participate. There's the celebrities in the event or whatever. And this year, you all received a pair of shoes. And Riley Leonard wore his shoes immediately.
Dude, so I parked next to Riley Leonard, and it actually looked like him and Tyler Warren maybe drove together. And I'm getting out of my car, and I see Riley Leonard like opening up a new box of shoes. I'm like, wow, he's really, maybe first round of the year, maybe his agency sent him this, something like that. And he's like putting them on. And he's like really examining them. I'm like, wow, he really likes his shoes. And I go in the clubhouse. I'm like, wait, those are the shoes that they're giving away. That is peak like kid on the birthday party gets the jersey and he is immediely wearing that jersey.
It's like Christmas. So Shane, I see Shane, he's like, Riley walks by, and I didn't notice it at first. He walks by, he's like nudging, he's like, James, look at him. He's like, I gotta tell Riley, we don't do that. He's like, the kid he's new here. And I was like, he's very new here.
Speaking of quarterbacks, did I see Carson Wentz?
He was there.
Now is that still a free agent, Carson Wentz?
I'm not so sure. I believe he was with Kansas City last year.
Last season.
Remember he backed him up. Remember that he played actually.
And Kansas City's got Gardner, right?
Yes, so he might be a free agent. Let's actually check and see on that. But I thought seeing the ghost when I saw him, I was like, wow, I guess you are allowed back in.
Darren DeVries in the building. I saw he got a commit from a Serbian shooting guard yesterday.
Yeah.
You can probably make a joke somewhere in there about Mike Woodson and getting commits on the golf course, but Darren DeVries, a little bit of multitasking there. So shout out to Teachers Treasures. I know JMV's done a whole lot for them in years past, and Anthony Calhoun, they raised nearly $600,000.
Carson Wentz is currently a free agent, so. Daniel Jones goes down.
I was going to say,
Richardson's banged up.
You did say, it's a consideration. Would you need a camp arm?
Now,
need a veteran?
That goes back to the start of the segment. Talk about things that would make me sweat.
Super Bowl champion?
120-109 last night in OKC. I know JJ, not Jeremiah Johnson, a different JJ's been hanging in there a little bit. JJ, thoughts on last night?
What's going on, fellas? Hey, fly the W always, man. Hey, real quick, I'll just be brief about it. I realized that I wasn't a football player and I had to stick with track and basketball at Muncie Central when I played some eons ago. When I played football my freshman year for him, and I was cutting across the field, I thought I was a pretty quick cornerback, and I got rocked by a lineman thinking I was going to hit the running back. And I looked up, and I got kicked by the running back. That was a tackle. I tripped him with my neck, and he fell. And I come out, and I knew I was concussed. And I was like, no, I want to come back in. I want to play. And coach was like, okay, go ahead. I saw stars for the next 3 days. We lost the game. To Haliburton, hey, we know if you're injured, you said if you can walk, you'll play. Sometimes it's okay to sit down, especially when the momentum is in your favor and TJ is playing good. So to that, I think we should have kept TJ in. Go Cubs. Like you guys. Appreciate it.
JJ, gosh, 2 Cubs comments in there. Shout out to the Bearcats of Muncie Central with that one. My thought, TJ related, James, it's a double whammy. I said it to you, a few minutes ago. Not only to me had TJ earned the right to go back in earlier in the fourth quarter, Tyrese and Andrew had not earned the right to stay out there. So it's not just hey, Benedict Matherin's going off. But, Neesmith hasn't really done anything to lose his minutes.
Right.
I get that dilemma is tough for a coach. For me, yesterday, it was twofold. McConnell's hibachian dudes.
Yes.
And Haliburton and Nembhard are as cold as the freezer. I mean, it was bad from those. Now, again, you can contribute the Haliburton thing to injury. Fine. That doesn't mean he's earned the right to be out there necessarily.
No.
So I think that is what probably is frustrating, honestly, to describe it, and why I was I thought I thought McConnell should have gone back in the game earlier than he did in the fourth quarter.
I do want to give a shout out again to JJ. I did not know where you were going at first with that, with your football stories about concussions, and I was like, where? But we made it there, brother. I do agree, though, to some extent, to his point about, hey, even if you are the guy, you have to know. And that's the hard part. That's why I think a coach has to step in and say, you're not yourself, we cannot play you. Because as selfish as it is, I don't care, man. I wouldn't sit out either. None of us would. Even if we had any ailment, if we're limping, we're going to go out there and try to compete, which I respect. But, man, yes, to your point, Kevin, he did not earn those minutes. They were just kind of given to him because of his status on the team. But, no, Tyrese was rough last night, and especially rough in the second half. And then Andrew, you played so well throughout these playoffs. Those are probably the worst sequences he's had, just considering how well he's played.
And I was trying to run through some of the situations in my head because I got, it became very quickly to me, I'm like, oh boy, he's not going back to TJ McConnell. So I'm trying to put myself into Rick's shoes.
Yeah, I'm like, how much rest does he need?
What is he thinking here? I assume he views I have to have Nembhard on Shea. Now,
Which he has done a good job, a better job than anybody on this roster guarding that guy.
But, like, there was a little bit of me of like, well, I mean, you do have to also score to get back in this game.
Yeah.
You know, could you put Neesmith on Shea, hope and pray the whistle gets swallowed a bit, then Siakam is on Jalen Williams. You know, that would kind of be the domino effect. But and also, you know, do you go? The Pacers went small at times. Do you bring Neesmith off the floor? Do you put McConnell? I don't know. McConnell, Nemhard, and Haliburton seems like a very, very small trio out there. But I thought there were some avenues that you could have explored to get back into the game earlier. Again, turnovers. That's a summary of the game right there. Boom. You had a million of them, and unlike game one, they went for a million points. But I thought you could have found a way to reward your best player last night. And Mark said it so well earlier. No player on the Pacers, I think, stressed or made the Thunder as uneasy as T.J. McConnell did last night. We'll continue to take some calls. Again, Jeremiah Johnson going to join us coming up 9 o'clock. If you haven't been outside, it is a sticky Tuesday morning here in Indianapolis. A little bit of rain. I don't think there was a lot on the radar, but a little bit of rain on the morning commute. Thank you for spending it with us, Kevin Bowe and James Boyd. Mark Dykton here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Jeremiah Johnson going to break it down with us coming up here in a little over 10 minutes. Reminder, Rick Carlisle tomorrow at 8 o'clock with the late travel. We announced that before tip last night that the Pacers head coach instead of Tuesday at 8 will be Wednesday at 8. A little under the weather for Jeff. It's Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton with you.
I think it's because I want to burn that jersey that he was wearing. I think the good juju's off now. We have to burn that thing.
We should relay Jeff's notes. Jeff sent us a few notes. Let's relay that for those curious out there. Jeff said, point number 1, Pacers were too quick with the ball in the first 20 minutes. They were playing fast even for their own pace. Point 2, he still likes the Pacers to win Game 6, therefore making Game 7 possible. He says he still likes their chances. In a third point, he states here, Captain Obvious, Jalen Williams is a problem. The night he had was ridiculous.
Again, let's burn that jersey. If he comes in tomorrow, have a ceremonial burning, get some good vibes going for Game 6. And the tags will burn easy.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. I mean, if he comes in with that jersey on tomorrow, might be some people waiting outside for him after the show. Like, this ain't how this gonna go.
No, it'll be like those viral videos you see where like the friends like rip the backs of the shirts off. That's what we're gonna do to that jersey if he wears it tomorrow.
Now,
like,
I haven't
get out of here.
I haven't had an update on any sort of clothing here in the last day or so. I'll probably wait maybe later in the week. I'm not ready to commit to any clothing updates when you're down.
Oh, you're talking about shipping orders, maybe and whatnot. Okay,
no more.
Gotcha.
We're not gonna.
Okay.
We're not going to touch that, probably literally and figuratively. On that,
I'm not touching it.
We'll see about the health of one Tyrese Haliburton for Thursday. Pacers nothing today. Again, got back late last night. They will have practice tomorrow. For those that missed it for whatever reason, Haliburton to the locker room late first quarter last night, comes back, big ol' wrap kind of in that lower right leg area. Remember, it was an ankle issue earlier in the series, James. This is being deemed calf tightness. I would say
it's the same leg.
Correct, same leg, obviously same area of the leg. I would say this: I probably noticed more hindrance from this than I did the ankle. I noticed a little bit more laboring with this one than I did the ankle.
He was hobbled.
Mark, let's play the Tyrese Haliburton audio from last night. This was post game.
It's the finals, man. I've worked my whole life to be here, and I want to be out there to compete. Help my teammates any way I can. I was not great tonight by any means, but it's not really a thought of mine to not play here. If I can, walk, then I want to play. So, they understand that, and is what it is, and got to be ready to go for Game 6.
James 0-6, 6 assists, 3 turnovers. Didn't score his first points until midway through the third quarter. Johnny Furphy and Tony Bradley had more buckets than Tyrese Haliburton last night. Again, I did think he was clearly not his normal self when he went back out there. I also thought in the first 10 or so minutes of the game before he got hurt, I thought he was bad. Like, I didn't think he was good enough early. I thought he contributed to you having 7 first quarter turnovers, not getting into an offensive rhythm, moving laterally, not touching the point, living in late clock sort of possessions. I thought it was trending very much like the Haliburton we saw Game 1, Game 2.
Yeah, I mean, it was the absentee performance. It was something we've kind of seen throughout these playoffs. I believe yesterday was the third time throughout these playoffs that Tyrese Haliburton has failed to score double-digit points. It was the third half of his playoff career where he didn't score a point. And he tied his career low with 4 points in the playoffs. So, again, just an all-around bad performance, injured performance, and I'll push back against both of you guys. If he isn't able to be himself in Game 6, they will lose. I don't think they can survive a game, let alone 2, without him.
Is that even if you get the same – if you get T.J. McConnell's performance from last night, but you get it for a longer stretch. Are you still saying that?
Yes.
If the offense looks the way it did under T.J. McConnell last night, but for a longer stretch, if Haliburton's not right, is that still the case?
Yes, because you're asking for a miracle at that point, Mark. Like,
we're on miracles now. We need to win out here.
I hear you, but man, asking him to play a longer stretch, I'm like, you're asking him to have the game of his life, which is possible, but no.
I think what maybe is a little bit more realistic, Mark. but is equally as a question mark is you're asking Andrew Nembhard to do so much defensively.
Mm-hmm.
If you now put more on his plate offensively, do we see what happened last night?
Yeah, where he's just bouncing it off people's legs and stuff. Yeah,
that I think is.
I will say though, we still haven't seen the Pacers make every 3 game.
No.
And could that happen in Game 6? Like that to me would be more of the equalizer than like a TJ McConnell led charge.
Yeah, Obi hit 3 off the bench.
Yeah,
Mathurin hit 3
like
off the bench.
you just get hot and you're at home and you kind of go that way. But even then, man, if you're OKC, you got to be thinking their best player is hobbled. We got to kill these guys.
Mm-hmm. Blood in the water.
Kill shot.
Mark, let's sneak Susan in. Susan, good Tuesday morning to you. How are you?
Well, I could be better, like all of us. But first off, I just wanted to say you guys are my favorite sports talk radio show. I love your insight, your knowledge, your passion, your energy. So I wanted to get that on before anything else.
Thank you, Susan. That means a lot.
Yeah, I love you guys. So McConnell, I agree. When we got it down to 2, we're going, all right, we've got a chance. And then, he was out. And I thought, okay, you got to put McConnell in. And I was all over Facebook saying, you got to put him back in. So my lineup would have been TJ, Pascal, Miles, because I thought he finally was having kind of a decent game. And who knows, maybe he would have been blocking shots at the very end. And Obi and Haliburton. I would have given him a rest, but I would have had him in at the end because he is clutch. And you never know about him.
So you would have sat Andrew Nembhard there late, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fit him. Yeah. He was bad, and he's not been good the whole series, really, I don't think. And too many turnovers.
Yeah.
I would have taken Nembhard out.
No, Susan, thank you for listening, and thank you for the call and the kind words. I largely think Nembhard has been an offensive issue in the postseason. I know that's kind of a broader encompassing of what now, 2 months? Gosh, the postseason is so long in the NBA. But like the Knicks series, remember he was really bad, and
it's long when you go to the finals.
I mean, I want to acknowledge that is a big burden he's having to carry to guard SGA, and it's not like he's getting any breaks. I mean, they're starting to match minutes with SGA.
You saw him get the little dust up last night. They like the jump ball, and
yeah,
pushing him off. I was like, oh, this is such brother energy right here.
But it's just I mean, yeah, Mark. I mean, he had some just awful turnovers last night. That one, I thought
that was the fourth quarter. It was awful.
I mean, we all have touched on that play at some point. You cut it to 2, boom. They get 2 offensive rebounds. Jalen Williams is a 3. That feels, oh boy, that hurt. And then you come back down, and Nembhard just throws it in the backcourt for a Casey Wallace dunk, and that leads to the timeout.
Yeah,
that's where I thought McConnell for Nembhard. And I was looking for it, and then come back from break, and no. It's the same group.
Yeah, I like what Susan said, and I've been hard on Ty, as many of us have been throughout this show. But to her point, yeah, you probably do want him out there if it's close because he has made so many big shots. And we saw, like in Game 1, dead in the water, doesn't have it going offensively, hits the shot of his life to lift you to a 1-0 series lead early in these finals. So, I don't mind or disagree with that logic from Susan. It's just that, again, hindsight is 20/20, and woulda, coulda, shouldas don't help you at this point.
They said there was a thing they said every time Andrew Nembhard touched the ball in the fourth quarter, it was either a turnover or a brick shot. Oof.
I mean,
do you guys?
Oof.
It wasn't good basketball. It was very uncharacteristic for him.
I feel this way about my name. I feel this way about Susan's name. Have you met any young child or baby named Kevin or Susan? I think I and Susan.
James.
I think I and Susan have names that no one uses anymore.
I have an Aunt Sue, but she's obviously older. But
I haven't met. Susan and Kevin are done.
Mm-hmm.
No one. Will people ever go back to them?
I'm sure they'll come back.
Gosh,
there's still a couple of you hanging around.
Mark, I haven't met any. Find me a 10-year-old named Kevin.
If you have a son named Kevin,
find me a 4-year-old named Susan,
a daughter named Susan, and they were born in the 2000s and later, give us a call.
There ain't no baby Susan out there. There ain't no baby Kevin at IU North. Coming up next, Jeremiah Johnson.
Jeff called you Kevy before.
Oh, yeah, Kevy Wevy.
He did. I thought my grandma Andana had been resurrected. All of a sudden,
come over and pinch those cheeks.
when I heard that.
That was hilarious.
9 o'clock hour here on a Tuesday.
Where would you draft edge in this upcoming draft for the Colts, Kevy?
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Williams, beautiful cut and finish. Jalen Williams with the flush. He's got 8 early points.
McConnell off the top and screen. He scored on the last 2 positions. Make it 3 in a row as he spun into the lane and spun it home with the right hand.
The disrespect out here is ridiculous, and McConnell is making him pay for it.
Nembhard unloads, misses a 3. Siakam with a weak side rebound out to Mathurin. Back to Siakam, and he buries a 3 from the left sideline. He has scored 12 points in the fourth quarter, and the Pacers are within 2.
Wiggins spots up, 3-pointers good. Wiggins with his 4th 3-pointer. SGA the drive, back out the door, right side, Jalen Williams a 3. It's gone. Jalen Williams knocks it down.
Haliburton to the left sideline, gave up the dribble, and he turned it over. This has been a colossal, epic meltdown here in the fourth quarter after they had played so well to cut it down to 2.
Neesmith hit all those big threes in game 1 of the conference finals at Madison Square Garden. He can get hot. Williams has been hot all night, falling away. Got it! 40 points for Jalen Williams. A playoff gem from Jalen Williams. Tyrese Haliburton, the Pacers, a strong comeback, but the Thunder had the answer. It's 3 games to 2. OKC in front here in the NBA Finals.
It's the finals, man. I've worked my whole life to be here, and I want to be out there to compete. Help my teammates any way I can. I was not great tonight by any means, but it's not really a thought of mine to not play here.
He's not 100%. It's pretty clear. But I don't think he's going to miss the next game. And, we were concerned at halftime, and he insisted on playing.
Our backs are against the wall. You got to look at Game 6 like it's a Game 7. Losing is, if you lose, your season's over. So, we got to go in and take care of business. Just approach the game the right way. See if we can get better in film, and be ready to compete.
These song choices today, or you just broke up with your junior high girlfriend or boyfriend. Mark Dykton, excellent on the intro there, as you have been all throughout this playoff run. We haven't had one that sounded like that, though, in terms of that's now 2 in a row for the Indiana Pacers. They're on the brink of elimination. They'll try to extend it. Coming up Thursday night, that is 8:30 inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline. Right now, you hear him, of course, Pacers TV. He's been busy with the watch parties and tons of TV appearances. Here, especially during the finals, he is Jeremiah Johnson. JJ, we thank you for the time. We'll start here. You boil last night down to what as the reason why this is now 3-2?
The headline to me is Tyrese Haliburton. You heard from Rick Carlisle not being 100%. When he is not, it's very hard for this team to play the style that they're effective at. And the other 2 things I would say, Oklahoma City making 14 3-pointers, 1 game after making just 3, and the Pacers turning it over 23 times. It was a little reminiscent of game 1 in terms of the issues taking care of the basketball. Made a comeback in game 1, made a comeback all the way, made a comeback in game 5. But you do have to give Oklahoma City a lot of credit over the last 2 games. Maybe they heard a little bit too much about them not being able to close out games, not having enough experience in these clutch games, and they made the plays in game 4 in Indianapolis and then also in game 5 in Oklahoma City. And we're just so used to the Pacers being the team to make those. But again, I'll go back to where I started. When they're performing well in the clutch, Tyrese Haliburton is, steering the ship. And it just felt like at times maybe he was just a decoy out there and just, trying to gut it out. But he could not do the things that you need him to do for the team to be successful.
JJ, obviously we saw that Tyrese, to your point, was compromised. But what did you think of the shot in the arm TJ McConnell gave them in that third quarter? I believe it was a playoff career high, 13 points in that period.
It was incredible. I joined Chris and Mary during the watch party, and we said at halftime, as the deficit was 14, that you just need to get it down to 8 to start the fourth quarter. And what do you know? It was 8, and it felt like it could have and should have been 4 or 5. And as the fourth quarter started, 12,000 or so fans at Gamebridge Fieldhouse were chanting, TJ, TJ. It was one of those moments that you just had to kind of take a mental snapshot, and I'll be sure to share with TJ what it was like in there at some point when I see him after the series concludes. And I know it's not you want to have a memory, you want to have a game like that in a win, but still, I was talking with some friends this morning. Think about this guy, 10th year in the league, undrafted, and here in 2025, he's scoring 13 points in the third quarter of an NBA Finals game. And in some ways, he put the Pacers on his back in the third quarter. And I know there'll be some discussion about maybe getting him back in the game earlier in the fourth quarter. It's a really difficult dynamic because, Tyrese Haliburton is your guy for not just now, but, the future. So you don't want to, not play him in the critical moments, but TJ McConnell also helps get you in that position. But also, there sometimes is a limit with minutes for his effectiveness. And so they've usually done a great job of taking him out at the right time. But still, I'll never forget, no matter how this series ends, the third quarter masterclass from TJ McConnell.
JJ, I want to stick with that for just a second. I did think McConnell should have gone back in, right when they took that 2 point to 7 maybe. Certainly when they got it to 10 or 12, 5-6 minutes to go, I thought he should have gone back in. Rick has had, I don't know if it's the same exact dilemma, but like Mathurin in game 3, Toppin in game 4, bench guys that are playing well, maybe some starters that aren't playing well. You have a decision to make. You talk to Rick probably just as much as anyone. Do you recall any times like throughout the season that he is, brought up or you have brought up, how he deals with the hot bench guy and whether he decides to ride with that guy down the stretch or, hey, we're going to stick with, the handful of guys that got us here from a starting standpoint?
Well, there's so many cool comebacks in, March and April. I might have the games confused, but I'm not sure if it was maybe home Dallas or home Minnesota, but it felt like there was one of those nights where the bench came in and they were allowed to sort of stay on the court and finish things off. And I will say, it's not just, time on the clock. Okay, this guy is due to come in. He needs to come in. He has ridden the hot hand. But, every player is a little bit different. And, when I brought up TJ McConnell, he does need that break. So I guess the question is, when do you put him back in, and could he still maintain that effectiveness that he had when he was dominating in the third quarter? I'm not sure of a specific scenario to answer your question, but you expect the unexpected. You expect Rick Carlisle to go with, his gut sometimes, with his experience, and you're not always seeing the same thing. And so, I'm sure any decision, it's the finals. There's going to be scrutiny. There's going to be a little bit second guessing, but TJ did what he's supposed to do. And I guess that's the thing. His role on this team is to come in and provide energy in, 6 to 8 minute segments. He did that. Could have he made a difference there in the fourth quarter? I don't know. The way the Thunder closed and the way Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander were working in a two-man game, when those two players, their two best players, are going to combine for 71 points, and then their other guys are able to confidently knock down threes, and then, the ball hawking, the turnovers they're able to force, it's probably a little naive to say it would have made a big difference either way if he's in another couple minutes earlier in the fourth.
JJ, I'll put a positive spin on it. Obviously, the season is not over. You're going into a Game 6 at home with a chance to extend your season and to force a winner-take-all Game 7. So, assuming that Haliburton is able to get a little bit healthier over the next few days, what do you think will be some of the keys to extending the season?
Well, that is a big assumption, and after the game, Pat Boyle and I recorded a podcast and probably spent more time discussing something we know nothing about, and that's the injury status of Tyrese Haliburton.
I know.
I do feel like, and I made the comparison, Kevin will remember this, Butler's run to the first Final Four got so much attention, but if you'll remember in that Final Four, Matt Howard had a concussion, suffered on Saturday, and as excited as you were for the opportunity on Monday night, that was sort of looming over the game because of how important he was to what they did, and he did end up playing, but he was compromised. And I just feel like in a best-of-3 series, which it was after Game 4, I thought the Pacers, fully healthy, could win one in Oklahoma City, and I still feel that way, but the asterisk is I kind of think you need to have Tyrese Haliburton at his best. Now, is he significantly different right now than maybe after Game 2 when, they kind of downplayed it a little bit, that you saw him limping, there wasn't a lot said, but now maybe an acknowledgement that it is the same leg and maybe something similar. how he played in Game 3 does give you optimism if it's nothing different of how he could play in Game 6. You do appreciate that you have the extra couple of days, but I just feel like you can have the X's and O's. You can say you need to take care of the basketball, you need to guard Jalen Williams better, you cannot foul. But if you don't have Tyrese Haliburton, it's just going to be really, really hard against a team like Oklahoma City. So, and we're not really going to know, I don't think, until we see him out there on Thursday night how effective he can be, because it's one thing to try to play, and I know he's going to try to play, but he has to be able to do Tyrese Haliburton things, because really this roster was built around him, this offense, I mean, everything they do, and I'll even say to some extent how they're playing defensively, his off-ball anticipation has been helpful. So the Thunder will be watching how well he's playing, and if he's on the court, they'll go at him if he's not able to be close to 100%. Other than that, get off to a good start, get that crowd into the game, and don't hesitate on some of these open threes. I even thought early in the first quarter there was just, a few guys that if it's passed around the perimeter, the whole goal of the offense is to get someone a good open feet set three-pointer or, get something at the basket. And it's hard to get shots at the basket when Chet Holmgren is in there. You still want to get 2 feet to the paint, but sometimes it's drive to the paint to get a good kick-out opportunity. And so if you're watching Game 6, to me, Miles Turner's open top of the key, no hesitation, has to be able to shoot it. Aaron Nesmith, I thought, did a good job in that area. I thought he would be key going into the game. Andrew Nembhard, Tyrese Haliburton, both of those guys. If it kicks out to them and there's no one within 5 to 6 feet of them, you got to knock it down. And then at the end of the night, you got to hope your three-point percentage is 38, 39%.
JJ, what did the end of Game 4 feel like to you?
So I felt, I kind of put it into these words as I walked to my car after the watch party, that I had a gut punch after Game 4, and I kind of got knocked down after Game 5. It felt like you were in the middle of this boxing match, and in Game 4 in the fourth quarter, you felt like you were ready to kind of throw the knockout punch, and then at the end of one of the rounds, all of a sudden the opponent just threw a flurry of shots to the midsection, and you lost the round. And then in the next round, you got knocked down, but you got up a little wobbly towards the end of the round, and that's where the Pacers are right now. But, and Pat and I were talking about this, you don't want to dwell on Game 4 when the series is still right there. You still are 2 wins away from a championship, but I hate to think kind of a week from now, a month from now, maybe even a media day next season, it might be something you're thinking about. And that's probably the disappointing, the frustrating thing is you only get so many opportunities, especially against a team like Oklahoma City. And you had one of those, and you had it on your home court, and you had a chance to go up 3-1. And when you didn't get it, now, the odds are stacked against you. So I felt a little bit of a gut punch, and it was a different kind of gut punch last night. And you just hope the sun comes up at some point today and, health can shine on the Pacers prior to Thursday night.
Was there a particular song playing in the car when you got there? I feel like I can hear something in my head right now with that. Oh, got
it. That or, on JMV's show prior to Game 4, they were playing a lot of music from Rocky soundtrack. So, I did give them the boxing analogy. So
yeah, that was excellent. I was waiting for you to say Mike Tyson bit off your ear. I don't know. Maybe that'll be the clinching game, if there is a clinching game.
Boxing's never been my sport to cover or to obviously participate in, but I did feel like I took some shots to the midsection over the last couple of games.
Yeah, I've tried not to be prisoner of the moment, JJ, but I also can't ignore my feelings. Blame my wife for trying to get more of my feelings out of me. So it felt like the closest thing to Hank Baskett, Purdue, Virginia, Elite Eight in quite some time. I hate to overreact, and who knows? Maybe there'll be one more magical, scene in this movie of a season. It just felt, they hit 3 threes the whole game. Oklahoma City. Look at how many threes they hit last night. I felt like that was
also 4 in the first quarter.
Right. It just felt like it was sitting on a platter, and we could be talking about a whole different feeling going into a clinching game on your home floor coming up in 48 hours.
Yeah, that three-pointer for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I told JMV yesterday before the game, I was like, if that doesn't go in, I hate to think about how different that game could
Pacers
end
probably
up.
win. Yeah.
Yeah. One shot defining a series, and in one that's been very competitive. And the only counter that you'll say is that the Pacers do have one of those wins that if the Thunder lose the series, they could even go back to game one where they had one of those opportunities. So they each have one of those coulda, woulda, shoulda games. But right now, last night's game does, tilt the advantage in the favor of Oklahoma City. And so now all you can ask for is, to try to hold serve at home and see what happens in a game 7. But again, it just does feel like you can say all you want about all this. You can even win game 6 without 100% Tyrese Haliburton. But if you somehow got to Sunday night, you're going to need him to be Tyrese Haliburton.
Amen to that. Jeremiah Johnson, he is a busy man here in the month of June. It's a good busy. He'd like it to continue here through at least Sunday. JJ, thank you, sir.
All right, appreciate the time. Thanks, guys.
Slams the door shut as he walks into his Zionsville home.
Rick Carlisle just needs to play this song on repeat. That's his speech for Game 6. Just play this song.
Who needs Herb Brooks when you just rock that?
Yeah, I was going to say, when that sort of song comes on in the movie, things usually get better for you. So
I embarrassingly owned that CD when I was a kid.
Oh, I love that,
It's like one of the first CDs my family ever got me.
That's excellent.
So do your kids even know what CDs are?
No chance.
Probably not.
No chance in hell.
I grabbed an audiobook from the library because when we were driving to Florida, I needed something. And so I grabbed I never did an audiobook before, but my wife has a CD player in her car. So I was like, okay, I'll get one of those. And my kid's like, what is that? You should see floppy disks. I really want to blow your mind.
I know what floppy disks are.
The last CD story I heard is I think my father-in-law was upset with maybe the musical taste on one of his children's CDs back in the day.
Yeah.
And so he pressed eject on said CD, opened up the sunroof. Phew!
Out the window. Wow.
CD right out the window. I kind of respect that move.
Yeah. I had my
I can't wait to kind of assert myself, one day as like, I'm done with this. This is my car.
Well, now you're throwing like phones out the window if you're getting rid of music. Like, get this off.
I know.
That's like the Johnson Family Vacation movie.
I had my
Cedric the Entertainer was just chucking, CDs out the window.
I asked my mom when I was going to school. I'm like, Mom, can you pick me up the Limp Bizkit CD if you go to school? So she picked it up for me, and they had all the they'd say like featuring the hits of whatever, and they'd have the stickers over it. When I unwrapped it, the parental advisory sticker was underneath it, so she didn't see there's a parental advisory. So she freaked out. That CD did get taken away from me when I.
You still have the audio of me going, hey, rolling.
I have it somewhere.
Oh,
no, I mean that CD stuck for a while, and then a friend came over and he played the In Together Now song, which has like a million F words in it, and she's like, "Get that off!" I'm like, "That's a CD you bought me, Mom," and she's like, "Never again." I'm like, "Oh God."
Mark Dighton, out thinking his mother there.
I know.
Let's give away another 4-pack, and Mark, we don't do this often, but they are the most passionate group. They deserve some love, and I think we'll try to do this in the most seamless way possible. For our YouTube audience out there, if you would like a 4-pack of tickets to the Indy 11 Las Vegas match on Saturday, the first person to enter the DMs of one Mark Dighton.
Slide right in there.
A lot of ladies have slid right in there, only to be turned away if they're not named Ashley, over the years. Mark Dighton at MarkD1075. The first DM he gets, you will be getting the 4-pack of tickets to the Indy Light. He's going to match, make sure your name shows up in the YouTube chat.
That's right. There you go. Slide on in there. DMs are open.
They deserve the reward for how passionate they are. Thank you to our YouTube audience. In many ways you can catch us. Hopefully Jeff will be back tomorrow a little bit under the weather. We'll continue to talk about Game 5 that was last night. Let's go ahead and hit a morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
James Boyd, can I throw some randoms at you from last night?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I thought Pascal Siakam to start the fourth quarter was huge.
Balling.
And continuing to get that close. Jalen Williams or SGA for MVP. That might be the debate as we head into Game 6 for those in Thunder Nation. Tony Bradley getting Thomas Bryant minutes. I don't know if that was necessary. And Miles Turner slightly better. I don't say that with a lot of conviction. Any of those you want to take?
If you get a better version of Miles Turner in Game 6, maybe they'll give you a chance to extend the season. He's been kind of struggling from deep. I'm waiting for that Miles Turner 3 or 4 point 3-point night, along with the rest of the group to shoot better as well.
Again, game 6, 5-point underdogs. The Pacers coming up 8:30 on Thursday.
Is that the lowest spread
night
of the series?
Yeah, I feel like we've kind of hovered in the 5.5 to 6.5 range at home here. So I would think right now that was probably the lowest opening line, which I'm a little surprised given the Haliburton injury. But we'll see how that goes. Again, nothing today for either team. Practice tomorrow. Rick Carlisle will join us at 8 a.m. coming up tomorrow. Tonight, speaking of a heavy favorite, that would be the Indiana Fever. Last I saw, 15.5 over the Connecticut Sun. The Sun did beat the Fever, James, a few weeks back. That was without Caitlin Clark, and she was outstanding in her return to the lineup on Saturday. Fever home tonight and then out west for 3 games.
She is transcendent, man. It was unbelievable to see the highlights. I'm like, wow, 3 threes in 38 seconds, and all of them were from outside the building as far as I'm concerned. So, special player, and obviously with her, they have a puncher's chance to do some special things this season, especially when it comes to the playoffs.
I love when the Stanley Cup tweets. And my favorite tweet so far here on Tuesday, June 17th, courtesy of the Stanley Cup, I'll be in the building tonight.
Ooh, baby. Well, I will say this. The Oilers have got to be thinking, nuh-uh, you're going to be taking that thing, packing it up, and bringing it back to Edmonton. So we'll see. But the Florida Panthers, man, after a big Game 5, got a chance to close it out at home.
When would Game 7 be? They've staggered it around the NBA Finals, which I love.
I am not exactly sure.
Check.
Me not being the hockey
Panthers
resident.
up 3-2. Am I seeing a Friday night Game 7?
Friday night back in Edmonton, 8 o'clock.
Man, who needs drugs when you can have that? That could be outstanding. Speaking of juicy, how about Gage Wood yesterday? Woo Pig Suey. 119 pitches in the College World Series. The first no-hitter in Omaha since 1960. How about 19 strikeouts with the no-hitter? You don't usually see that number.
Yeah, he was basically telling y'all, you can't even put it in play. Take that.
And he had a strikeout to cap it there over Murray State. Hit
I'm
by
disappointed,
pitch.
though. He had a perfect game going, ruined it.
I know.
So
in the 8th. Well, what a performance from Gage Wood. And James Boyd, I'll give you a second try at this after your screw-up in the opening hour of the show. The greatest athlete of your generation is who?
It is not Joey Chestnut, but he will be back in action very soon here.
The GOAT is back. Joey Chestnut announcing yesterday that July 4th, all is well in the world. Republicans, Democrats, we can all unite here. He's back, baby. Nathan's hot dog eating contest, Coney Island. No more vegan hot dogs with Kobayashi on Labor Day. Honestly, it brought a tear to my eye to read Joey Chestnut's post.
I've been listening to James and Simone Biles, and this guy is telling me Joey Chestnut is greatness. But I will say...
Am I wrong? Have you seen this man?
Yes, I have. You know what? I will concede that he is... he's extended his prime much longer than I thought most glizzy eaters could do.
That's so true. I mean,
wet bread always throws me, though.
It's Brady LeBron dipping the buns in the water.
Yeah, that's always the part that I'm like, I couldn't do that.
And I told you.
Wait, what do they do?
Oh, you got to get the bread down. So you got to dunk the buns in the water so you get soggy bread and you're wolfing it down.
He's a wet bun guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was a tactic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you need to be locked in on July 4th,
where
James.
have you been, man?
We need you, like, live
Not
streaming.
watching this guy eat a bunch of glizzies.
You need a live stream.
Blasphemy, man. That's worse than Jeff taking 2 naps the other day.
That was pathetic.
Joey here on Twitter. I'm thrilled to be returning to the Nathan's Famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest. The event means the world to me. It's a cherished tradition, a celebration of American culture, and a huge part of my life. While I have and continue to partner with a variety of companies, including some of the plant-based space, those relationships were never a conflict with my love for hot dogs. To be clear, Nathan's is the only hot dog company I've ever worked with. I respect that there are differences in interpretation, but I'm grateful we've been able to find common ground. I'm excited to be back on the Coney Island stage, doing what I live to do, celebrating the 4th of July with hot dogs in my hands. Stay hungry.
Yeah, I just got a comment here from the YouTube chat. I was like, James, you're not American. I'm like, I'm trying, man. I'm working on my American part.
James? I mean, you're such a great embracer of the Masters earlier this year. Unbelievable job embracing the Indy 500. We need you on July 4th.
I got to play this while I'm watching Joey Chestnut.
Honestly, you just need to watch it to see the characters.
I mean, I've seen it
to
before,
see the body
but
type.
again,
I mean,
I've seen it once. I've seen it a million times.
They got people your size competing in it.
Oh, the dude that chugs the lemonade, he's got one of the wilder body shapes I've ever seen.
Badlands Booker. He's massive. But there's some small individuals up there on stage.
So, okay, real quick, how many glizzies could you all put down? How many hot dogs?
What do you get?
In your
12
prime.
minutes?
Let's
10 or
say
12 minutes.
college-age Mark, college-age Kevin.
Oh, God.
Metabolism is great.
I'd like to think I could do 15 in 12 minutes.
Jeez, for real? Dang.
I was going to say 8.
Honestly, the hardest part, to Mark's point, is the buns.
Well,
I mean,
because
you
I don't think
Chestnut's got him soggy as can be. He's just stuffing them in his mouth. His cheeks are growing. They look like 10 chipmunks inside of them. It's really one of the wilder sporting events you'll ever see.
That's where it would trip me up because I wouldn't be dunking the buns. I just can't do it. That texture, just no thank you. Wet bread, no thank you. So I would.
Do you want to win or no?
8. No, I don't want to. Not that way. I've already got a championship belt from eating, Kevin. We did the St. Elmo's.
I know. And Chestnut told me to drink milk with that, and I blame him for my.
Wait a second.
Second place performance.
Use performance-enhancing drugs.
We are way up against it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But go ahead, James. What were you going to say?
I was just like, when did this happen?
Before the Colts-Raiders game a couple years ago.
Do you remember the Colts-Raiders game, which started like I guess Carson Wentz? It was highly debated.
Oh, so you are the reason why things are
2 games left
to
go in the season. The Colts had to win either to make the playoffs. Mark and I did a shrimp eating contest. Mark won. Outstanding performance. I gave a valiant effort till the end, and I blame Joey Chestnut telling me to drink milk.
Oh, so you're blaming the guys you say is the greatest American athlete ever?
Well, they say that just because you're a great athlete doesn't mean you're a great teacher?
Ah, good point. Good point.
Could be Joseph Chestnut. We'll be back to get back on track.
Listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Shout out to Robert from the YouTube chat, winner of our 4-pack tickets to Indy 11 coming up Saturday night. Looks to be a steamy week. I mean, hell, it was steamy walking to the car this morning weather-wise. We do know the AC will be on inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse coming up Thursday night. That will be Game 6. David asking, can we get Scott Foster back for Game 6? Is it time for the extender to enter?
Oh, so now y'all on his side, huh?
Now they're siding with Rick Carlisle.
I see what you're doing. I will say, I thought that Rick's technical foul early in that game was kind of a message to not only the officials, but the team itself to, hey, wake up. We need you all to be more engaged. We need you all to play with more, just spirit. Because early on, I was like, man, do you guys realize what's on the line here? And then I thought they kind of woke up after that.
Yeah, the timeout of disgust was Indiana's to start last night. I think that was a disappointing start considering how Game 4 ended. Jay's been hanging in there a little while. Let's get to him on the Payless Liquors hotline. Hey, Jay, good morning.
Good morning, and I hope you had a great Father's Day, Kevin.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a great day. Great U.S. Open. And if you have any kids, Jay, a happy belated Father's Day to you as well.
I do not. I have a couple nephews.
Well,
but,
I'm sure you're a great uncle to them.
But anyhow, what I questioned last night is Tony Bradley getting Thomas Bryant's minutes, and Tony Hubba Bubba Bradley wearing a sock to the knee and then the other sock to the ankle. It looked like he's ready to go fishing in Mayberry, which he did go to University of North Carolina. But I still think Thomas Bryant is a much better player than Hubba Bubba Bradley.
Mark, can we cut that? That was excellent there from Jay. Yeah, James Boyd peeing down his leg there.
Oh, my God.
Jay, thank you for the call.
Dude, that's
God, can you imagine how fun Uncle
God,
Jay is?
Tears in my eyes.
Man, he is the Funkle, no doubt about it. There at the family gathering.
No, I just expected the man to give some analysis, and he's like, the socks are what drives him over the edge.
Man, if Tony Bradley gets in the game Thursday night, I'm going to be sitting up there in section wherever 224 thinking, man, those socks.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to be thinking about.
When he got into it with Isaiah Harkenstein, I did laugh at that yesterday. Like, he kind of had this I want to be tough moment, and then it's like, I'm Tony Bradley, so I'll just walk away. Because I was like, what are you going to do? If you were Tony Bradley, you get a tech in the NBA Finals game, if you go back to the bench, is anybody going to be like, yeah, you were justified? They'd be like, dude, you just wasted a point.
I haven't thought this many times throughout the series, man. James, but when Tony Bradley got in last night, I thought to myself, and I don't really know why it was when Bradley got in, but I thought, damn, what a great opportunity this could have been for Jarris Walker.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Like when you play those small ball lineups, because they've done that. Last night we saw a little small ball action. Like not even, hell, I don't even know if Siakam, or I don't even know if Toppin was in there. I felt like it was like a front court of Mathurin, Nesmith, Siakam, and not even Obi with that group. But
I'm so sorry.
For Jarris's own development.
I'm still laughing at this.
And just a different option, I think it would be beneficial to have him out there. Again, doesn't sound like Jarris is going to play at all.
Better option than.
Man, I thought I was dying. Then I look over, James has got a puddle under his seat.
Hubba Bubba Bradley. It's just, I mean, dang, he was sitting on that for a while. The man called in the morning to complain about his sock usage.
He went Hubba Bubba twice on us.
Yeah. I will say, Tony Bradley did look very old out there. I was like, man, this guy is.
Fishing in Mayberry is where Uncle Jay went with us.
Oh, man. I was thinking, we got, what is that, Andy Griffith reference?
Sure. Yeah. I've been to the old Mayberry restaurant out in Danville. It's where my dad went to high school, so I've been out there a couple times. Again, last night, Jalen Williams with 40. James, I don't think there's been an individual player for me in this series that's turned it around more than him. Like I thought the first couple games, he was shaky, and then
it was bad. Yeah.
He has been all NBA type. And I think that, I don't know if Rick would say this, I think that is kind of contributing or did contribute a little bit to Rick's thought process and not putting McConnell back out there. I think in his head, he started to play the domino effect. Wait a minute, if I take Nembhard off the floor, that means I got to put Nesmith on SGA, who's guarding Jalen Williams. Like Jalen Williams has turned into that in this series.
You know what? I thought he got downhill. Like every time SGA drew 2 players and he threw it to Jalen Williams, I know he knocked down a couple of threes, but he would just attack the closer and get downhill and score almost every time. I mean, he had a number of finishes, left hand, right hand. It just did not matter, where I'm like, athletically, you just can't compete with that kind of size and speed coming downhill at you. And he got up on the rim a few times, and I'm like, who's jumping with that?
Yeah, he had a couple dunks. Yeah, I would say this. I need someone to make one of those like crazy analytical charts of the floor, and instead of a shot chart, give me a drive chart. And I think it's SGA and Jalen Williams going right at the damn rim, and it's Tyrese Haliburton and the slew of Pacers just going side to side. It's east-west versus north-south. It's the JV running back. What's my boy's name in Friday Night Lights? 42. When Booby gets hurt.
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Waterbug, is that what Booby calls him? It's Waterbug running versus Booby running. And I'm talking healthy Booby. I'm not talking post-injury Booby. That's, I mean, hell, if you want to sum it up, the Pacers look like post-injury Booby.
Yeah, I mean.
We got 7 Boobies and 2 Hubba Bubbas in this segment. You can't tell me we're not clicking today.
Boy, I ain't never heard such disdain for a pair of socks in my life. That was so funny to me. Thank you for the call, Jay.
Jay, excellent. We'll do it one final time. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton on a Tuesday.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Reminder, Rick Carlisle tomorrow at 8 o'clock with the late travel, no matter what, win or loss. He was going to be Wednesday at 8. Pacers back to practice tomorrow, and Game 6 is Thursday. If there is a Game 7, Sunday at 8 o'clock. I'm looking at the calendar. June 17th. When I see that date, you know what I'm reminded of?
I know what I'm reminded of.
What's that?
My dad's birthday. Shout out to Jesse Boyd. He is 65 years young today.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Jesse
birthday.
Boyd. Him and your mom got close birthdays.
Dude, every year I'm broke around this time of year. It's Father's Day, Dad's birthday on the 17th, Mom's birthday on the 15th. So, yes, I'm always out of a few dollars around this time of the year.
June 17th. Remember the 30 for 30 about June 17th?
I actually don't remember this.
Just the OJ stuff?
OJ Bronco chase.
Oh, and this was like the
Game
finals.
5 of the
Yeah.
NBA Finals, Rockets, Knicks. The Rangers had their parade on Broadway for winning the Stanley Cup. The opening of the 94 World Cup.
Wow.
Arnold Palmer played his last round in the U.S. Open. All of that, obviously, some of those events far outweigh others there, but that could be a Tuesday night viewing option for me. I feel like Maddie would enjoy that.
That was a good one. I remember watching that before. But, yeah, I was at my aunt's house, and I remember we were watching the NBA Finals, and all of a sudden they broke in. Like, what is going on with this white
So
Ford
you
Bronco?
actually remember it?
Yeah.
And you were, what, 7, 8?
Something like that, yeah.
See,
I
I'm
think there was
still-
a get-together for Father's Day or something. And, yeah, sure enough, we were
Wow.
watching it at my aunt's house, and all of a sudden they broke in, and I'm like, I've never seen this before where they're actually, like, dual screening the NBA Finals.
That's what blew my mind about that documentary. I'm like, they put a box on the screen to show you a white Bronco.
And then they would actually, like, give the Bronco more screen time than the game at some
Well,
point.
like Costas was on, Costas
Yeah.
was on there. I think Chris Berman maybe a little bit as well.
It was
And,
super weird.
I mean, I'm showing my age, but like my first sports memory is like I can remember Aaron Bailey trying to catch the Hail Mary in '95, right around there. So that is just a little. I mean, I was 4.5, 5, so I don't remember that, but that is easily like talking to my uncles, talking to my dad, like they bring that up a ton.
Yeah.
So yeah, that might be a little viewing.
Because I don't think there's been
soak the wounds.
any other sports moments where news has kind of cut in. Like the John Lennon assassination, I guess, on Monday Night Football would be one. I was too young for that, obviously. But where actually news cut into a sports event, I don't really.
Yeah,
there's few and far between.
Trying to think. 81 national title. I think Reagan was shot that afternoon, and they still played the game. Indiana that night didn't die, right? Yeah,
Right.
Didn't they? Jeez,
No. No, he did not.
My American history seems a little off today. But they ended up playing the game that night. So, yeah, if you're looking for something to do tonight, you got Fever at 7 o'clock. But you could dial up the old June 17th 30 for 30.
I'm excited to see the Fever tonight, though. I was not there this past Saturday. Went home to surprise my mom for some concert she was in. It was actually pretty good. And, I mean, just seeing the highlights from what Caitlin did to that building, Lord have mercy. And honestly, she changes the trajectory of that franchise, of that team. When she's in the lineup, they can beat anybody on any given day. And I will say, Liberty fans will probably tell me, well, we didn't have John Cole Jones, former league MVP, probably future Hall of Famer, but you play who's in front of you, and she played outstanding basketball. So the 15-point spread, 15.5-point spread does not surprise me one bit, because when the Fever have Caitlin Clark, they're a championship-level team. And when you look at the Connecticut Sun, they're just one of the worst teams in basketball.
God, she was feeling it the other night, too, when she had the tongue sticking out.
I mean, it was
everything like that.
volleyball line
It was
stuff.
outstanding.
That's the other part, too. She is she's outward with her emotions. She is not the SGA type.
Oh, no, she wears it on her sleeve.
She is going to be
Good, bad,
passionate
and
and
different. Oh,
crazy
yeah.
and yell and scream, and there's joy, there's rage, there's,
it is Tiger
hands
Woods
in the
playing
air.
golf.
Why did you miss that layup? And then there's going to be a fist pump when you make the layup. So you got to take it the good with the bad. And I think that she is theater, man. Theater.
I thought about it a little bit last night. Might be some Damian Lillard PTSD. Certainly probably some PTSD from Kevin Durant 2019
I thought about
finals.
this too. Oh, yeah.
Is that on anyone's mind? It was a sneaky little clip. Mark, I don't know if you have that, but like Rick Carlisle said something effective. They were concerned at halftime about Tyrese Haliburton. He reassured them everything was fine and played the second half. I assume that concern at halftime just meant about his general availability for the second half. But is there, when we get into the calf, for a guy that has played a lot of basketball in the last 12 months, for a guy that has had hamstring, ankle issues, oh, boy. I don't know. Tatum PTSD, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I just feel like every time
I don't want to say it, but I guess I should say it for people in the car. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? Do you worry at all about the old Achilles coming up for Thursday if he tries to rush it out there? When I hear calf, I think Achilles. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, mainly because for Kevin Durant, it was a calf strain at first. For Damian Lillard, it was a calf strain at first. Jason Tatum was kind of just random.
Yeah, Tatum probably not the one to group in there, but the other two, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to be real, you hope it's not that, but if you're a medical team, if you're the Pacers, you have to make absolutely sure it's not. Like, it's one of those things where you have to ask the question. You can't just assume. I mean, that is your franchise player, and I get it, season's on the line, all those things, but you have to at least ask the question and look and see, okay, where do we go from here physically wise? So, because you don't want him to rush out there, because this is up to him. Like any athlete, he's going to go out there and play.
I have that cut. Do you want that quick cut from him talking about
I don't know if we'll really feel it now that I think about it, but go ahead and play it.
I don't think he's going to miss the next game. And, we were concerned at halftime, and he insisted on playing.
Yeah, again, I think Rick is referring to obviously the present nature of Game 5, but still, I don't know, maybe something to chat about a little bit more tomorrow. Again, nothing for the Pacers today. Late travel coming back last night. They will practice coming up tomorrow, and then 8:30 for Game 6 in there.
It's do or die.
Burning jerseys.
Benedict Matherin's 23rd birthday is Thursday. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
So that means 23 points off the bench?
Ooh.
I could see it happening.
I like that possible bet right there.
Yeah, I was going to say that'd be pretty good. Tonight, viewing-wise, not only again Fever, but you do have Game 6 Stanley Cup if you're not interested in the old June 17th documentary. Thank you to Jeremiah Johnson for joining us. Reminder, Jeff Ricker, a little bit under the weather. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow, and Rick Carlisle scheduled for 8 o'clock.
Thank you to Jay and Hubba Bubba, because that was hilarious.
Yes, we did get a great call from Jay in the 9 o'clock hour describing Tony Bradley as fishing in Mayberry there with his socks. So Tony Bradley gets in the game Thursday night. Jay, you have my attention from that. Marcus, always thank you for the audio. Thank you for the interest. James Boyd, great. Kevin Bowen signing off. Fan Morning Show. Jake Lively covered noon to 3. JMV coming up at 3 o'clock, and Rick Carlisle tomorrow at 8.